Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another fun live stream of true scary stories. I'm not going to say to help you fall asleep because we don't want to fall asleep today. We want to stay up till midnight and bring in the new year. Thank you all so much for being with me today. Y'all absolutely mean the world to me. Today we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have guests. We're going to have live readings, as always. We're going to have giveaways today. Today is going to be a lot of fun. And as always, we're going to have true scary stories. With me today, I do have a couple of guests. First and foremost, I have my lovely, lovely, beautiful wife, Inner Scare Wifey, with me. Wifey,
Thank you for having me.
how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Awesome. We also have... I apologize, Nightbot was being weird. We also have with us today, we have Grim. Grim, how are you doing today, buddy?
Very well, my friend, and how are you?
I am doing excellent. And we also have Phoenix Fire with us today.
Good evening, everyone.
Let me turn you guys up a little bit because I'm afraid that it's going to be, with the rain, it'll be quiet on stream. All right, if you guys want to say hi again.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Guys, we got an all-star lineup tonight. I've had Phoenix on a live stream before with me, and I've had Grim on 2 videos on my channel before. Hope you guys like what we have planned today. We're also going to have a few other readers come on, and they've got some stories that they've sent us that we're going to play. They're going to talk about their channels a little bit. We're going to be celebrating the narration community today. That's my goal, is to celebrate all that there is to do with the narration community and really talk about some of the things that go on in this community, because I started this channel just this year, and it's already grown to where it is now. And I've met some amazing people along the way and want to showcase the community today. Samantha Scotton, thank you so much for that $4 super chat. I appreciate you so much for that. Thank you. Without further ado, I think that we should start this off the way that we start off every stream, with a true scary story. A stalker in the club. All real names have been replaced. Hey everyone. I had a ton of stories about the time I lived in Scotland with my friend, Jane. I've posted in different Reddit subs/threads, by the way. But what I'm about to tell you is more terrifying than ghosts, since it's real life. Jane and I used to go dancing at nightclubs near Buchanan, a popular area in Glasgow. We used to meet real nice people there, often drunk yet funny and harmless. Until the day that we crossed paths with a guy, Kyle. Kyle kept staring at my friend Jane. To reassure Jane and protect her, I pretended to be her brother. But that didn't stop Kyle, who started hitting on her heavily with the glass of whiskey and his weird look. Jane laughed to cool the heavy atmosphere, because I could see how much it bothered her to be approached like this, as he did not even respect her safe space. Eventually I broke off the conversation, but the guy followed us everywhere. With his dumb friend, he even took a picture of Jane in secret. That was too much. I kindly asked him to stop, in a quiet, no-pressure way. He seemed okay. I just did not want to start a fight in the club and get kicked out of this place that we liked. While we were dancing with Jane, she noticed that a guy gave her a sign. He moved his finger on his throat like cutting it. She totally lost it and told me about it. We immediately ran away, and we even managed to hide from Kyle, who did not show himself for the moment. When the club closed, Jane and I went to a fast food restaurant, waiting for the first buses to go home. Jane felt very uncomfortable after this experience, as she survived an attempted murder. Her ex-boyfriend's brother tried to kill her with a knife. He even killed his own mother and wanted to stab Jane's ex. He is now in a psychiatric hospital and locked up, and she was very traumatized. I tried to make her laugh, to change the subject as she asked me to. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Kyle came back again, his shirt stained with blood. He came closer to us with his friend and said, "I bravely fought with a guy in the street. Luckily, I always keep a knife on me." After the trauma she experienced, Jane was not sensitive to this bad boy stuff, even if he was so proud about it. I asked him to get out. The situation was tense because he wanted to hit me. Bless the guard who kicked him out. That night, Jane was very afraid. When we came back to France, this story seemed behind us. But Kyle managed to find her on Tinder after more than a year and recognized her. God, I hope we never see that freaking guy again. All right, and that was our first story. So, I think that we should go in. Let's talk about Phoenix real quick. Phoenix, you're starting something brand new here soon, aren't you? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I've been on the channel before reading live to your audience, and you helped me pretty much start sleep stories, and I've gotten nothing but positive responses except for one thing. I happen to intermingle the sleep stories into my horror channel, and so my horror community was like, "What are you doing?" And then the sleep community was like, "Oh no, what is this? Can't fall asleep to it." So I separated. So Phoenix Fire Narrations is now its own channel, of course. It has all the horror stories. And then currently, which I just set up, I have created Back to Ashes. It's its own channel now. And that channel will only be sleep videos. I'm currently still uploading videos. And then this coming week, after the ball drops, I'll be uploading many more.
Absolutely. So Inner Scare Wifey there in chat just posted the Back to Ashes YouTube channel link. Guys, please click on that link. Go subscribe to Back to Ashes if you want more sleep content. If you like my channel, I swear to God you'll like Phoenix's sleep channel. Inner Scare Wifey, do you want to talk about how good his videos are sometimes?
To be completely honest, he has one of the best audio and narration combinations I've
Absolutely.
ever heard, and I have extreme insomnia, so any deviations in tone or a weird noise in the background as far as the rain goes, I will wake up and I cannot go back to sleep for the rest of the night. It's medicinal almost, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Very high quality.
Absolutely. Guys, if you like my channel, you'll definitely like Back to Ashes. Click on that link that Inner Scare Wifey just put in chat and go subscribe to his channel. It would mean the world to me, and I know it would mean the world to him. And I promise you, if you want more sleep content, that's the place to go get it.
And I do promise, if I read those sleep stories, I will not scare the crap out of you. It's just, I will read to you in a monotone, baritone voice, which I've been told lulls people to sleep. So I would appreciate the subs to that new channel. Thank you so much, Inner Scare.
No problem. And to everyone who said that they went and subbed, thank you so much. We're going to be talking about that throughout the stream. Going to keep dropping that, as well as our other guest that we have on with us the entire time, Graham. Graham, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do on your channel?
So my dominant sort of style is just me reading stories with plenty of amazing people such as yourself and Phoenix joining me. I do most of the voices by myself. I try to change them up, and I have done a couple of sleep videos, but I think I might follow suit with Phoenix and start a channel just dedicated to that later on this year.
Awesome. So,
Oh, actually, sorry, I just realized I've also got a mega collaboration that has all of you guys. It's got Mr. Creepypasta, Dark Solomon, all of that sort of thing premiering on my channel, and also able to go back to it anytime if needed.
absolutely. So if you guys like horror narrations, the Grim Reaper's Nightmare is definitely a good place to go to. I listen to his content all the time. Every time he posts a new video, it's like I'm automatically clicking on it. He has great stories, great narrations, definitely go sub to his channel as well. Alrighty, and
I
go
appreciate
ahead.
that. I was just saying I appreciate that. My mic was just being a mess.
Oh, no problem at all. And Inner Scare Wifey did put the link to the Grim Reaper's Nightmares channel in the chat as well. So make sure that if you like horror narrations, that you go subscribe to him.
Thank you, everyone who just said they subbed as well. We appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone who is going and subbing to these different channels. Yes. So, without further ado, I think that Phoenix, these people are really into sleep narrations. Do you want to give them a taste of what they will get at your channel?
Let me see here. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'll read a short story, but I'll read it in the form that I will read, putting you to sleep.
Alrighty. And while he's reading that story, we're going to go to an ambiance of rain hitting a window. You can go ahead and start whenever.
Ready. The story is entitled Living in a Haunted House. We moved into my great-grandmother's former house in San Diego a few months before my grandmother died, his parents' house. Both my great-great-grandmother and my great-grandfather had passed inside the house, and there was a rumor that my great-great-grandma was still wandering the house. Within the first 2 weeks, things would happen, beginning with this incident. My son was 2 and struggling to sleep in his own room. It was twice the size of his old room and not as cozy. Around midnight, he would get up and climb into bed with us to sleep. But one night, he didn't want to sleep. He wanted to watch TV. I told him no, it's nighttime, and he started to scoot back and off the bed when something made him freeze. He looked behind him and looked scared at something that I couldn't see, and dove under the pillows and stopped trying to leave the room. He was speech delayed, so he didn't talk much at this age yet and couldn't explain what he saw. We would hear footprints coming down the hallway, fully expecting it to be him, and it was no one. Every night between 9 and 10 p.m., we would hear a slam from the kitchen area. Nothing was ever there. My grandfather died after had been there for 3 or 4 months. I was still nursing my daughter, who was 6 months when he passed. He left coffee, and I would get the strong scent of coffee during the middle of the night feedings in a room furthest from the kitchen, and at 2 or 3 a.m. I could have sworn I saw his ghost the night he died, floating past our backsliding door. We left after a little over a year and a half, never looking back. Our son slept in our bed the entire time. Our daughter would talk to no one, sing songs, and wave at no one. It was strange for sure. There you go.
Apologize, I was muted and I had to unmute. All right, and then now, everybody, I don't know, that voice is so soothing to me. I think that is the quintessential sleep voice. Guys, if you haven't already, go subscribe to Back to Ashes so that you can get some more of that sleep content. But now, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring in our next guest. Our next guest is another horror narrator, and I will let her introduce herself as soon as I can get her into this room here. Our next guest is 242. 242, do you want to go ahead and introduce your channel, talk about what you do, etc., etc.? Are you there?
242.
Silent and I got scared.
Okay,
There she is.
there you are.
I had Discord issues earlier today, so I got really scared. It went back to the issues.
No problem, no problem. We hear you now. Do you want to go ahead and introduce your channel, talk about what you do, all that good stuff?
Hi guys, my name is 242. My channel is called 242 Reads. I read stories of day and night, which are true and fictional stories. I have 3 characters on my channel to make things confusing. One that brings me my day stories and one that brings me my night stories.
Awesome. So what's the difference between your day and your night stories?
So day stories are always the true stories, so like creepy encounters, glitch in the matrix, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then night stories are the fictional horror stories, so the stuff that, you know, could be true, but most likely are not, but will give you a good chill.
Gotcha. And I believe that you sent me a clip of one of your nighttime stories. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be one of the nighttime stories.
Alrighty, and we will go ahead and play that for everybody to be able to listen to it. So this is a preview of 242's channel. If you want to go subscribe to her, I believe Inner Scare Wifey has already put her link in the chat. Make sure that you go drop her a subscription, listen to some of her narrations,
The person
and here is one of her narrations.
I fear most, by the poet Cure. There's a person in my life who says the cruelest things to me. She's been with me ever since I can remember, and has never ever let up with this relentless battering of me. I'm afraid of her, and what she might do to me. Growing up, she constantly hurt me, whether it's a slap in the face or deep cuts. She doesn't seem to want to let up. I have tried to escape her so many times, locked her away for good, but she never ever goes away. Unfortunately, she lives with me and my family, and I cannot escape her. One of the worst days of my life was when she tried to legitimately kill me. She had run me a bath, told me to get in, and asked me if I was hungry. I had to think on it, but eventually I said yes. Next thing I remember, there was a toaster in my hands, plugged in and running. But I couldn't drop it. I fought her off this time, but I'm not sure how much more I can though. So every single day I wake up, I clench my fists and grit my teeth, and I look in that mirror at her. I scream and yell and tell her to leave me alone, but she won't. She's me. I can't escape her, and I won't escape her. I am her. Yes. So every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I always have a coffee stream. The guests, because I always have 2, changes every single week, so you'll never know what you're getting, but it's just a laid-back, talking coffee stream. There's a lot of Phoenix Fire on that one, though. He does show up a lot.
I apologize. I unmuted myself in the Discord, but I neglected to unmute myself in my streaming software. So just for everyone who is wondering, I do apologize for not unmuting. I was asking 242 because I know that she does do a couple different types of streams on her channel. I was asking her about those. Do you want to go ahead and reiterate those?
Yes, I can do that again. So every Saturday morning at about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I always have at least 2 guests with me, and it's just a laid-back coffee stream where we just hang out and talk about whatever we want. Really, it can be about horror narrations, but most of the time it's just whatever comes up.
Awesome. So if that's the type of content that y'all are interested in, if y'all are interested in live streams where she talks to different horror narrators or even her own horror narrations, make sure that you go drop her a subscription. 242, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you so much for letting me come on in.
No problem. All right.
Have a happy new year, 242.
You too,
Happy
Phoenix.
New Year, my Canadian fam.
You too,
Yes,
Kiwi.
Happy New Year. And a Happy New Year to everyone watching. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. That was 242. Make sure you go drop her a subscription if that's the type of content that y'all are interested in. Now I am going to go into another story. You only have to be wrong once to end up dead. I was dog setting, so when I got home every day around 2:30 p.m., I would take her out for a fairly long walk. I do think it is important to note that we took the same route at the same time every day. Other important notes. It's winter in Canada, so it's fucking cold, and there were not a large amount of people around. Mostly just other people walking their dogs, but also a few people on their way somewhere or walking for exercise or whatever. It was not standing around hanging outside kind of weather, and she is a small dog who is extremely friendly and would offer zero protection against the attack of two men. We took this walk through the park, which is really just a trail near my house, and while it's kind of isolated for the most part, you're within shouting distance of houses. However, there's an optional section of path which leads to a more secluded area. Imagine the path as a straight line, and this section is a semicircle that connects it on both ends, quite literally a detour. And while I'm a naturally anxious and paranoid person, the dog really enjoyed this part of the walk, I'm assuming, because she could smell animals or wildlife. Rabbits and deer mostly. And also, it is mostly taken by people with dogs, and you know how much dogs love to mark their territory over places other dogs before them have done. One day, while we're walking this section of the path, a man in a very distinctive blue jacket appears, and while he gives me bad vibes, there is no interaction between us, and he is headed in the opposite direction, so it's fairly unremarkable. I've never seen this man before. The very next day, while we're headed to that area of the path, another man in a silver jacket passes us, but also is moving slower than is normal. Because I have a dog, we stop every few feet to investigate, and we're not moving at a regular walking pace. However, this man stays close enough that he remains in my line of sight until he arrives at the bridge. The bridge is pretty much at the entrance to this detour. At the bridge, he stops and is on his phone just kind of waiting there. This man also gives me that awful gut feeling, but I'm assuming that he's just waiting for someone and trying not to be awkward about it. Weirdly, as we approach the bridge, he turns and starts walking back towards us. I'm feeling creeped the F out, and also dealing with some nausea issues unrelated to this. So we don't take the detour that day because I just want to be lying down at home as soon as possible. As we continue on, I glance back, and the man in the silver jacket is back on the bridge waiting. So I don't really know what the whole seeming like he was going to head back as we went across the bridge was about. But whatever. As we're continuing on our way, we run into that man in the blue jacket again. I've never seen this guy before, and now here he is, 2 days in a row at the same time. I think he was also on his phone, though I'm not sure. Anyway, we just keep moving, and he is headed towards the man on the bridge. This pretty much concludes the first interaction with these men, and really it's easy to explain it all away as me being overly paranoid, and them being normal people not out looking to hurt or assault anyone. I continue to walk the dog at the same time every day. However, we now always skip the detour just to make me feel safer, and we do not see the man in the blue coat again. However, a week or two later, maybe longer, maybe less, I'm not good with time, but at least several days, the dog and I are on our usual walk. As we approach the bridge, who should appear but the man in the silver jacket? Again, just kind of waiting by the bridge. He appears from off the side of the path, and quite frankly, I straight up turn around and head back the way we came. Shortly before the bridge, the path has an offshoot that leads to up behind the house, and so we head that way instead. This is probably fairly obvious to the man in the silver jacket as we head past that offshoot, and when we see him, we straight up just turn around. This day, the weather was objectively not good. It was really cold and also snowing, so there were even fewer people around than is typical, and I was not willing to risk it. I firmly live by the motto, you only have to be wrong once to end up dead, and as such, I have no problem effing politeness, which has maybe saved my hide a few times. Or I could simply be over paranoid. Also, in case you were wondering where we get the ideas for which stories to read on the live streams, we did have a community post a couple days ago where we announced this live stream, and we asked people to comment what types of stories they wanted to hear. Inner Scare Wifey went through and looked at all of those comments, and she has aggregated a very, very long list of a ton of stories for us today. So I want to give a special shout out and a special thank you to Inner Scare Wifey. Thank you so much, Inner Scare Wifey.
You're welcome.
This woman works so much behind the scenes. I can't even begin to thank her enough. Without Inner Scare Wifey, there would be no Inner Scare Sleep YouTube channel. Yes, Raymond, this is live. Caroline, this is live. Yes, this is a live stream. It's not pre-recorded, so that's how we have the countdown here. It is currently 2.5 hours until New Year's. We're gonna bring the New Year's in here. So yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. I was almost kidnapped when I was 10. I am a female, and I am now 22 years old, and I still get goosebumps thinking about the situation and whether or not I would even be here today had I not been such an untrusting child. I used to ride my bike around my neighborhood and through the local parks a lot when I was younger, being a generally safe area at the time. Not so much now, but I digress. My parents felt comfortable with me riding my bike alone, as long as I stayed nearby. One summer afternoon when I was 10 years old or so, I can't be certain as it was a long time ago, but it was around 9 or 10, I decided to ride my bike through the park near my elementary school. I ended up running into a friend and her mom at the playground, and spent a bit of time with them before they left. Looking back, I don't recall noticing anyone lingering nearby, but I was an oblivious kid having fun at the park, so there very well could have been. Anyway, I wasn't having much fun at the park by myself, so I decided to settle my bike. It was then that a man, maybe in his late 30s or early 40s, approached me pretty much out of nowhere. I was sitting on my bike, kickstand still down, when he comes up to me and asked me what my name was. I was a very shy kid, so I don't think I said anything in response, but he didn't seem to care. He told me that I was a very pretty little girl, and that he had a daughter my age that I could come play with. In addition to being extremely shy, my parents had also taught me about the whole stranger danger thing, so I wasn't about to go with this man. After I shook my head no at him, I remember him smiling at me in the most unnerving way before putting his hand on my shoulder. I felt uncomfortable the whole encounter, but it wasn't until this moment that I really felt afraid. I quickly kicked the kickstand up and pedaled away as fast as I could manage. I didn't bother looking back until I had made it onto one of the streets just outside the park. He thankfully hadn't followed me, but I still felt scared, so I just went home. I never told my parents or anyone else about this encounter. I know I probably should have, but for some reason my kid brain thought that I would get in trouble and not be allowed to ride my bike anymore, so I just decided to forget about it. Looking back now, it makes me feel nauseous to think about what might have happened to me had I gone with that man or hesitated to pedal away. I am very thankful that my parents have been serious about teaching me not to talk to or go with strangers. I'm maybe even a bit thankful for my social anxiety, as it may have saved my skin that day. Oh, you were responding back to his first question, Carolyn. I apologize. Chat. I'm not able to read all of chat as it's going by, so I do apologize. All right, Phoenix, do you want to read us a story?
I sure can.
Also, by the way, if you guys ever have anything to say, you guys are more than welcome to just jump in at any time.
Absolutely, as I'm reading, or at any time, if there are any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer those. Alrighty, let's see what's up next. We have another haunted story. The story is entitled, I Grew Up in a Haunted House Owned by an Oil Baron from the 19th Century. So the story is 100% true, and I'm basically still scared even thinking about what happened to me as a kid in this house. I grew up in Massachusetts, and when I was 10, my family bought a very large 20-plus room house in Brookline, a suburb of Boston. My family was rich, but not like super classy, more like old money rich. My dad owned a business, basically supplying seconds to stores like the Christmas tree shops, etc. At any rate, the house my parents bought was really old and was once owned by a pretty well-known family in Boston. They owned an oil company. We didn't move into the house for like 2 years because of my mother's renovations. When we finally moved in, several weird things happened. My room was on the second floor, directly under the third floor rec room. I used to hear odd music and stomping from upstairs. Once I even opened my door and yelled, "Stop!" And the noise did indeed stop. I learned years later that the rec room had been a servant's quarters. Glasses used to break on their own all the time. Cups would just shatter on the kitchen counter without being touched. I was once walking down the hallway on the third floor when I felt a hand touch my shoulder and try to forcibly turn me around. I remember feeling terrified and knowing in my gut that I really didn't want to see what was behind me. I screamed and ran. Scariest moments of my entire life. I've got so many more stories from that place.
So,
There you go.
so you just read us a paranormal story, Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
know
yes.
that you have a few personal paranormal experiences yourself. I know that we have a lot of people on this stream that weren't on the last stream that you were on. Do you want to go ahead and tell some of your experiences?
Yeah, I'll start with the very first one that I have memory of. I've told this story quite a few times. My grandmother passed, or one of my grandmother, my dad's mom passed years and years ago. She taught me at a very young age how to crochet. Well, she passed on, and I continued to crochet in her memory, and of course I enjoyed doing so. I remember one day sitting on my couch getting frustrated because I could not remember how to do a certain stitch, and it shook my soul when I just so happened, out of the corner of my left peripheral, there sat an apparition of my grandmother telling me all would be okay. And then, of course, she told me how to do the stitch. And from that day forward, every time I sit down to crochet something, I feel her presence around me all the time, or I hear her saying, "Great job. Great job. Keep going." That was one of my very first paranormal, I guess, meetings. And it's my grandmother. So
Mhm.
thank God it's not some like demonic force. It's my grandmother
Yeah.
watching from above. So I truly, I'm truly grateful that that happened to me.
What
Yeah.
a beautiful experience.
It's a very powerful story.
It
Uh,
is.
Grim, do you have any paranormal experiences? I don't think I've ever asked you. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, not a problem. I mean, my foster mother was a psychic, and I use quotation marks because it's questionable at the best of times. And it was more her stories that I can probably go with. The one I remember the most, she told me about how after a intense day of tarot card reading with bunches or a collection of her clients,
Mm-hmm.
she went to bed that night and she woke up unable to move, completely just paralyzed in her bed. When she looked to the doorway, she saw a figure that just represented what she thought was the dark energy that she brought along with her from that entire day of tarot reading. She said that she was literally just stuck there, unable to move as it got closer and closer until she actually felt the presence of it pressing against her and pushing her down to the bed.
Wow.
I don't know the complete details because I got told this when I was like 12, so that's the
Mhm.
best recap I can actually remember. But yeah, intense for me.
Inner Scare Wifey, do you want to tell anything that has happened to us?
Go ahead.
So, I mean, yeah. So, if you guys. So, this is the craziest thing that has literally ever happened in my life. So, if you guys are familiar with cults and different things of that nature, you will remember a little guy, not very well known in history, named David Koresh. David Koresh was the leader of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. In a past life, I used to do a little bit of broadcast journalism, a little bit of filmmaking type things, trying to make documentaries, etc., etc. Well, we were making a documentary about the Waco incident that happened in Waco, Texas. And Inner Scare Wifey and I actually had the opportunity to go onto the compound where it happened, tour the compound, and meet with the current leader of the Branch Davidians. And we interviewed him, talked to him. Really fun guy to talk to. Really great place to go visit. Definitely very eye-opening. Inner Scare Wifey has something to interject.
Yeah. He told us that it was probably the last interview that would ever be given.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he said that we were probably the last interview that he would ever give. It was definitely a lot of fun. So while we were there, he took us on this tour, and to kind of give you a layout of how it was, is there was this church, and then he took us outside of the church, and just to the right of the church, if you're looking at the church, it's to the left, but when you're walking out, we move to the right. There's this field yard type place is how you would describe it, and there's this concrete slab that's over one part of it, and this concrete slab is actually covering up a bunker that was underneath of it.
it's open about a quarter of a foot, I'd say.
Yeah, about 6 inches or so, probably about half a foot is how much it's open. Well, that concrete slab, what happened during the actual raid on the compound was women and children actually climbed into this concrete slab, underneath of it anyways, into this bunker that's under the concrete slab, and they tried to hide from the gunfire. Unfortunately, they threw fire
They
or
threw,
something.
Tear gas
They threw
canisters
tear gas
that caught on
canisters
fire.
that caught on
Mhm.
fire down there. And everyone that was down there, unfortunately, burned alive. Well, there was one particular person who was said to have been down there and burned alive. I don't want to mention any names for the sake of privacy. But as we were leaving the compound, we stopped at the memorial at the memorial place where they have all the names. Well, one of the names just happened to stand out to Inner Scare Wifey. And she was like, how did she die? How did she die? She kept asking me how that particular young woman died. So I go and I ask the leader of the compound, and he's like, oh, she burned alive in that bunker that I showed you. And I was like, okay. Well, I went back to Inner Scare Wifey, and I told Inner Scare Wifey, I was like, hey, he says that she burned in this bunker. And Inner Scare Wifey said, no, she didn't burn in that bunker. There's no way. She was shot, and she was shot and killed. And I was like, well, the leader of the compound, who literally knows like all of the history of this place, is saying that she got burned in this bunker. And Inner Scare Wifey was like, no, I'm telling you, she got shot and killed. Well, me thinking that I married a crazy woman, I'm like, okay, whatever. And we drive away. But no. We get to this place, and Inner Scare Wifey's like, look, please, I don't know how, but we've got to find something on how this woman died. I don't think that she burned in this bunker. So we get to looking, and I do some of my internet sleuthing and some of the stuff that I did back when I was doing documentaries and looking up public record, etc., etc. And we found this young lady's death certificate and her autopsy report. Yes, Wifey, I don't know if yes, very much so sensitive, and very much an empath. But anyways, we found this young lady's autopsy report, and the autopsy report stated that she had many burns all over her body. However, the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head. So Inner Scare Wifey was actually able to discern a cause of death from just touching a memorial that even the leaders of the current Branch Davidians didn't know about. So that, to me, is probably the craziest paranormal experience that I've ever had in my life.
Honestly, I recently discovered that we still have the interview and such, so maybe someday, possibly.
Really?
Yes.
You found it?
Yes.
So we still have that interview. So.
And we also have some of the information on the young lady as well, like the.
Yeah, so maybe sometime in the future, over on youtube.com/interscare,
Yes.
we may release that interview.
It's very
So
interesting. It's worth a watch.
make sure that you go subscribe to youtube.com/interscare for mine and Inner Scare Wifey's horror narrations, as well as a potential interview with the Branch Davidians in the future. I did not know that we had that. That is interesting to me. Now I want to go back and watch it.
It's on the drive.
That is amazing. Well, that gets me excited. So let's see here. We've got our next guest just joined us. Glenda, thank you so much for joining us. Glenda, do you want to kind of talk about what you do, who you are, all of that stuff?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent.
Glenda, hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, Glenda. Nice to hear your voice.
Nice to hear your voices too. Well, I do voice acting and narration, so my main YouTube channel is Glenda's Voiceover Projects, but you can hear me narrating audiobooks. I play characters in lots of audio dramas, and I just do a lot of other narrations for various YouTube content creators, including Phoenix Fire. So we did a collaboration on his narration called The Perfect Victim.
She
And so I had
played
a
my
great time.
victim. I abducted her, and she was my victim. It was
That's
great.
awesome.
Yep. So, yeah, I have another YouTube channel that it's called Glenda Blasts Your Ear Off, and that's from a podcast that I narrate for a writer named Josh Bush. We collaborate, and he writes these crazy sci-fi stories, and I narrate those for him, and it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. So how did you get into like voice acting? Because your main thing isn't horror narration like us
Mm-mm.
lowly YouTubers here. You actually do like professional voiceover acting. How'd you get into that?
Oh gosh, it started back when I was 8 years old. I think was my first time doing any sort of commercial sort of thing. I did a Christmas commercial for a local radio station, and I don't know, I just kept getting a microphone like stuck in front of my face, and they're like, hey, say this, say that, and all through junior high, high school, and in college I became a radio station DJ, and I was a textbook narrator for those that were students that were visually impaired, and it just kept building from there. I just kept getting more and more work.
Well, I know that you definitely have the voice for it. In my opinion, you are one of the best, you know, in the business, as far as I'm concerned. And just to prove it to everyone out there that's listening, we do have a narration that was sent to me by Glenda. Also, Inner Scare Wifey put her YouTube link in the chat, so make sure you go click on that and give her a subscription. I'm going to go ahead and play this narration that was sent to me, so go ahead and listen to this. Here we
My
go.
name is Glenda Villamar, and I am narrating the story I Was Stalked and Nearly Kidnapped at 13 Years Old, posted by Miss Assissa on Reddit. I was always an extremely small and sickly child. I looked young for my age. My family and I lived out of town, about 8 miles out. Our little community was next to a highway. The school bus would drop me off 2 blocks away from home. One day, I noticed a red truck following slowly behind me. So slow that I figured they were just looking for a house or something. I ignored it and walked to my house. That was the end of that. Consistently, this truck would follow slowly behind me. After a couple of days of this, I walked into my house, I was always the first one home, and looked out the window. Inside was an older man and a black lab. He was staring at me idling inside his truck. Then he pulled away. I decided enough was enough. I told my parents. Of course, my sister was quick to jump in that I was lying. I had a habit of telling stories. But my mom thankfully believed me. She drove me to the bus stop the next morning. The red truck was there, across the street at the gas station, pointing toward the bus. I got on the bus and my mom decided to drive around the truck. She described the scene. The man was disheveled and dirty, hunched over in his seat, just staring at the bus. His license plates were caked in mud, so she couldn't make them out. It freaked her out so much, she called the police and the school. I went to school and was quickly pulled into the office. The man had been spotted at the school, waiting in his truck. That day I rode the bus home. This time, the truck was parked alongside the street. I would have to walk past this man's driver's side door to get home. I debated, considering running for it. Apparently, this man was getting desperate now that he was spotted. A police car showed up, and I talked to the policeman. They went to go talk to the man. He quickly pulled away from the curb and took off down the highway. Never saw him again, and I don't believe he was ever caught. Because of this experience, I'm extremely guarded and paranoid with my own daughter, and her soon-to-be sibling. The world is a terrifying place these days, and children go missing so easily. I don't like to think about if I had been grabbed. I wouldn't be here typing this. My kids wouldn't exist. I was lucky. Many children aren't.
Excellent narration, as always, by the excellent Glenda Villamar. Am I saying your last name correct?
Yes, perfect.
Oh,
Thank you.
sweet. I don't usually get names right, so I'm glad that I did that. So do you want to talk about your podcast a little bit and like what you talk about on there and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I have 2 podcasts right now. Glenda Blasts Your Ear Off is a bunch of sci-fi short stories that are written by Josh Bush. and so I narrate those. And then my other podcast that really just started maybe about a month or so ago is called the Tale Teller Podcast. And writers will submit stories, or I'll read excerpts of novels or scripts. And I just narrate a bunch of other writers' works that they'd like to have their work narrated, so they send it to me and it goes into the podcast. So those are my two podcasts right now.
That is awesome. I know that I definitely enjoy listening to your narrations, and everyone else. I believe that if you all like that, definitely go give her a subscription. Definitely go follow her podcasts, etc. Thank you so much for joining. Oh wait, Interscare Wifey has something to say too. I apologize.
I am a huge fan.
Hi,
I'm
thank
not
you.
trying to be cringy, but I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
Thank you.
By the way, I know
Thank
that I
you.
can talk forever, so if y'all have anything to say, feel free to interrupt me at any point, guys, or else I won't stop talking. Interscare Wifey, you know me. Just feel free to interrupt me. It's fine.
I would like to say at any point, Glenda, when you were free, I would absolutely love to collab with you again.
Oh yes, I would love to do that. That was fun. Anytime.
Thank
I
you.
would like to add that I would be down to collab with you as well, actually.
What was
She's
the name?
such a
What was the name of y'all's
She's
collab,
like-
Phoenix?
We did The Perfect Victim, in which I was a vampire, and pretty much she became my pincushion. I abducted her, and I keep her for eternal life and feed off of her. And she said she never really. She said she wanted to take a stab at the horror stuff, and she did a fantastic job. So I would absolutely love to collab with you again, Glenda. You do
I
amazing.
love the horror
and
genre.
you're so professional. You're very punctual when it comes to getting people lines. You're just, I can't stop bragging. You're incredible.
So if
Oh, thank you.
you all,
I would definitely.
oh, go ahead.
Oops, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was
Karen.
just going to say, I'd love to give it a go. I have been writing some stories myself, and I'm always looking for people who are able to feel words that I put forward and actually act with the intention of it being like an actual story, if that makes sense. So I'd definitely be keen to sit down and have a chat sometime.
I would love to collaborate with all of you anytime.
Awesome. And
All
guys,
you do is shoot her a message. She responds immediately. It's crazy.
I'm a
Interscare
fan
Wifey.
of all your channels. I'm subscribed. I listen like every day, and I try to leave some sort of happy face or thumbs up so you know I was there listening.
You sure do, and you
Yeah, we
also help
definitely
promote it
appreciate
on
that.
Twitter. I love that.
You're amazing.
Interscare Wifey did put the link to Phoenix Fire and Glenda's collaboration in the chat as well. So if you want to go
Thank you.
listen to that, make sure that you click on that link and listen to that after this stream.
Phoenix Fire is extremely scary in that one.
Yes, he is.
Scary and everything I do.
Got that baritone voice, man.
That's
Well-
not true. You literally just remind me of a overly friendly teddy bear, even at your work.
And then, well, Grim and I have also done collabs together in which I'm the bad guy, and it's really evil and just, yeah, I can do crazy things with my voice that scares people.
I know that the only time my son has ever been on YouTube was on Grimm's channel.
No, he also is now a huge fan of Phoenix's sleep or when the
Yeah, our oldest
Mhm.
son is a huge fan. He listens to Phoenix to go to sleep. He can't listen to me to go to sleep, but he'll listen to Phoenix to go to sleep.
So tell your son thank you. I'm flattered.
But yeah, so guys, y'all have no idea how ecstatic I am to have the level of talent that is joining me today. Guys, I appreciate y'all so much. And Glenda, thank you so much for joining us today and sending the narration and talking to us for a while.
Yeah, thank you. I will keep listening to the live broadcast until it's over at midnight.
Happy New Year. Happy 2003. I wish you nothing but more growth and success, Glenda.
absolutely.
Thank you. Happy
Absolutely.
New Year.
All right.
Ditto.
Happy New Year, Glenda. Thank you so much. Alrighty. So we also had a story sent to us by the one and the only Mr. Grimm. Grimm, I think that we can go ahead and talk about your channel a little bit, listen to your story. I know we talked about it in the beginning, but do you want to talk about your channel again and tell everybody what you do and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I'll jump in a little bit. So I do, obviously, like everyone here, horror narrations. Mine are a little less sleepy, more acting. I try to actually become the characters majority of the time while I'm doing it, try to live them. Not as weird as some of those Hollywood actors that actually do the weird stuff that their characters do, but I try to do it in the moment and live it up. The situation happened randomly. It's been less than a year. I think I've been only doing this for about 5 months, and I've almost got 500 subs, which is pretty impressive for someone who came from nothing.
Speaking of Grimm, would you grace us with your, oh my God, immaculate Russian accent? Kind of show off your accent. It is incredible what you can do with your voice.
Okay, Russian. Okay, so you want me to talk to you like a from Russia? Not a problem. I have to ask Putin about this because I think he might be a little concerned about me giving away the Russian secrets, but it's okay. I'll drink vodka and get myself too drunk. That is it.
Incredible.
Dude, that was awesome.
Thank you. I do, to be fair, I started doing stand-up comedy well before I was a horror narrator, and majority of my humor was based around my accents, which is where most of it stemmed from, to be fair. I speak Russian. You speak Russian. That's good. I don't. I just sound like a drunken sailor 90% of the time.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I guess I'll just introduce the video more than anything, because it's hard to really talk about my channel without thinking too much about it, which I didn't before I came here. So the video that I sent to you is actually one written by 242. She is the author. She's actually amazing. I didn't know that. She's also my Canadian sister now, because apparently New Zealand is the Canada of Australia, which is kind of offensive, but whatever.
Good night,
so
real quick.
Cool.
Good night, Carolyn. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad to have you here while you were here.
We love Carolyn.
Yes, Carolyn. Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night, Carolyn.
Sorry to cut you off there, Graham.
No, that was absolutely fine. I missed her see you. But what was I going to say? Oh, yes. So it's called Halloween Event. I know it's a little off season, but I thought it was very, very talented. I'm going to be adding it to my zombie playlist that I'm going to start. It's going to literally be an entire playlist dedicated to zombie genre stories.
Love me some zombies.
So this is the first one that's going to be added to it. I love
Alrighty.
zombies. They started my life.
So
yes, 23 seconds in.
Without further ado, we'll go ahead and play this story that was sent to us by Grimm.
Hello everyone, Grimm here.
I apologize, having some technical difficulties.
Today I'm going to be telling you another story. Today's tale's title.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to actually throw it into my editing software here so that I can turn it up a little bit louder, because it's going quiet in my regular playing software.
Yeah, that's my fault. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I can turn it up right here.
Hello everyone, Grimm here. And today I'm going to be telling you another story. Today's tale. I had to be the one that caused problems, right? Like everyone else comes in, no problem at all, and then Grimm comes. You know what?
No problem. No problem at all.
242.
Can you all hear it on the stream? Can you all hear it on the stream?
Relax and let's enjoy. It was one of those stressful days. Nothing had gone right at work, so once Dustin got home, he took a quick shower, washing the stress off him. He knew how late it was. His wife, Jen, was already fast asleep for work in the morning. He changed into some loose clothes before heading into his game room.
There it is.
As he opened the doors, soft lights came to life. The walls were covered with posters of his favorite games. His eyes fell on a Zelda one, his favorite. He had paid so much for the poster, and he loved it. After a few deep breaths, he let himself fully forget the day at work. Jack would be on his case tomorrow due to the order mistake, but there was nothing he could do about it. A beep brought the computer to life. The dual screens turned on as the lights on his computer hummed. His rig had cost him a pretty penny, but it was so worth it. He turned the lights off on the keyboard once he brought up the game that he wanted to play. He did the same to the monitors, not needing them. He put his gloves on that were his controllers and picked up his VR helmet. He took one more breath before putting it over his head. In a few moments, the game came to life before his eyes. A soft smile spread across his lips as he saw the words, "Welcome back, Sir Night Dragon Killer." He tapped the Enter Server button. A pop-up came up. The Halloween event has started, and we hope you enjoy it. Developers. His smile grew wider as he hit OK. It was a few days early, and they had been saying the event was going to be different than the year before. He couldn't wait to see what they had done. Dustin spawned into the small town he had disconnected in. It was night, and the road was covered in Halloween decorations. He walked over to one of the jack-o'-lanterns and looked at it, amazed at the detail they put into it. He swore it looked real, and he could just pick it up. As he heard a scream for help, as he ran towards it, he pulled his sword and shield out. He saw a pop-up on his screen, entering a Halloween World event. It disappeared after a few moments, and before him he saw NPCs running away as a huge undead horde stumbled after them. A huge smile appeared on his face. They didn't normally do events in the city. This really was different. He charged into battle, casting Shield Bash to knock one of the zombies away from a woman it was trying to bite. He turned and slashed another in half, watching it fall down before turning to ash. One tried to walk up behind him, but he slammed him with his shield, growling. The horde seemed to grow as he started to cut down each zombie. He took little damage from their nails, but not enough for him to worry about. The zombies were slow and clumsy, and before he knew it, he had killed all of them. He was sweating in real life from all the movement that he had made to kill them. Normally, the fighting wasn't so intense. He saw a pop-up about winning the event and the experience he had gained. He moved his character to a seat and sat him down before he did the same in real life. He looked around the area as he caught his breath. The moon was blood red, which he had not noticed before. He thought to himself how cool that was as he felt a sharp pain on his neck and his health went down. He got up in real life and the game. Looking behind him, there was an NPC that had been attacked. "Oh shit, it's contagious," he said out loud before cutting the NPC down as well. "That sucked. I hate cheap shots like that." He closed his eyes and took a deep breath before opening them up. On the top right next to his health was a debuff with a counter. It had 5 minutes on it. He looked confused because he did not recognize the symbol that they had used. It wasn't poison or mana drained. He opened up his menu to look at the Halloween notes, but it said nothing about this new status effect. He was frustrated at the developers for not saying anything about it. But it was over in 5 minutes anyway. He could just explore a little more and see what else they had done. Walking down the street, he didn't really see many other players, though. This city wasn't the most popular, and it was late. The timer was down to the last 30 seconds when he decided to head out. He walked towards the teleportation crystal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When the timer reached 1, he reached out to the crystal, but as he did, his brain shot into pain. He screamed and put his hands on his helmet, wanting to rip it off his head, but he couldn't. The pain seemed to snap and sap at his strength. His hands fell to his side and his avatar stopped moving. The next morning, his wife Jen woke up to get ready for work. She was confused when she didn't see her husband next to her. She knew he stayed up late, but he always came to bed eventually. She got out of the bed, yawning and stretching. She got to her feet and walked out of the bedroom. "Dustin!" she called out into the hall. She checked the bathroom. Nothing. The living room, not there. "Oh, please, don't tell me you fell asleep on the computer again." She walked into the kitchen and turned on the coffee maker. Once it was done, she headed to the gaming room and sighed as she saw Dustin sitting in his gaming chair with the VR helmet still on. "You really need to stop doing this," she said, more to herself than anything. Slowly she took off his gloves. His hands twitched a little as she did so. She put them on the charger, knowing that they were dead. She shook her head as she lifted the helmet off his head and placed it on the charger as well. When she looked back, she noticed his eyes open. "Oh, Dustin, are you still awake?" She was very confused. It was very early, but he hadn't tried to do an all-night game session in years. Dustin let out a groan as he looked up at her. His right eye looked like the blood vessels had broken, staining it red. His face looked pale, and he seemed to be shivering a little. Before she could speak, he got to his feet and ran at her. He pushed her onto the desk, making everything fall from it. Jen put her hands up to protect herself. The feeling of her husband's teeth biting into her arm made her let out a scream. She had never felt pain like this before. She pushed him away from her, making him rip off some of her skin. She let out another scream and tried to run for it. Before she got out of the room, she was pushed into the wall, her hands grabbing onto it, and she pulled the Zelda poster down as she fell to the ground. She rolled over just in time to see her husband's face covered in her blood coming towards her. She brought her arm up to defend her face again, and he bit down on her fingers. She felt his head jerk to the side and two of her fingers going with it. The pain flashed white hot for a moment, almost making her faint. With all her might, she kicked him between the legs, which made him stumble back and groan in pain. Jen got to her feet and ran out of the room, heading to their bedroom as fast as she could. There was a lock, and her cell phone was in there. She moved as fast as her feet would take her. She could hear Dustin coming after her. He wasn't that fast. He seemed to be having trouble staying steady, maybe from when she kicked him. Once she was at the door, she slammed it closed and locked it just in time as she heard Dustin run into it and groan. The door didn't seem to want to stay. She looked around her room before moving their dresser in the way. She could hear him ramming his body into the door. Jen picked up her phone and dialed 911. As the phone rang, she grabbed a towel and wrapped her hand and arm. What the hell has gotten into him, she thought to herself. 911, what's your emergency? A woman's voice said on the other end. The calm and collected voice made her immediately feel a little better. Yes, hello. My husband attacked me. I need the police and an ambulance, please. Jen said, trying hard not to let her voice shake as she spoke. Okay, ma'am. Where do you live? I'm at 574 Evergreen Road, Jen said as she heard Dustin's body hit the door again, making her shake. I have the police on the way, ma'am. What is your name? Jen Smith, Jen said as she held her hand close to her. Jen Smith? The woman said as she typed it down. Are you hurt? Yes, my husband Dustin bit my arm, and then bit off 2 of my fingers, she said, almost crying. Is your husband on drugs that you know of? No, he doesn't do drugs. He fell asleep on his computer, and when I took off his VR helmet, he had his eyes open, and then he attacked me, pushing me onto his computer and then against the wall. Both times he bit me. Jen wiped the tears from her eyes. Her voice was shaking as she spoke about what had just happened to her. Dustin was groaning and kept trying to get through the door. He is slamming himself against the door right now. I don't understand what is happening. Please get the police here soon. They are on their way, Jen, and the ambulance as well. The 911 operator said as calming as she could. Have you tried to stop the bleeding? Yes, I have a towel around it. Good. Now I want you to get something to protect yourself. And what room are you in? Is the front door open? I'm in the bedroom and the front door is locked. Jen looked around herself, not really seeing any weapon. The floor was covered in clothes and bed sheets. I don't have anything in this room to use as a weapon. That's okay, just keep him out. Jen nodded. Okay. She realized her eyes felt very heavy. Her body was starting to not really want to move. Had she really lost that much blood? Please hurry. I don't feel too good. They're getting there as fast as they can. Please try to stay awake. Jen muttered something, but before she knew it, the world was black. Her eyes just wouldn't stay open anymore. Officer Mackenzie's night had been an odd one. It was maybe 2 more hours till he was done with his shift, and he was looking forward to falling asleep next to his dog Chester. Patrol car 674, please come in, said one of the 911 operators. It sounded like Sarah. Patrol car 674, he answered back. I need you to head to 574 Evergreen Road. It will be on your computer now. Domestic dispute. 10-4, he said before looking over at his partner Collins. He was a good man that was a little newer to the force. Here we go. Collins nodded before he turned on the lights and Mackenzie took off down the road. They flew down the streets. For a while the roads were empty. At first they were making really good time, but they hit some traffic that was stuck due to a red light, and everyone had trouble getting out of the way. By the time they got to the house, it had taken them roughly 15 minutes. The operator had told them the door was locked, and also the woman's name was Jess, and that she was in the bedroom. Mackenzie grabbed the door opener, as he liked to call it. Colin nodded as he got to the door, knocking.
"Police, open up,"
called Collins, his hand on his gun. When there was no sound on the other side, Mackenzie came up and pushed the ram against the door. Collins and him used it. Opening the door, they let it drop before moving into the house. It was so dark inside, the blinds were pulled, making the entrance room really dark. It didn't help that the sun wasn't up yet. They both pulled their flashlights out and headed inside with their hands on their guns.
"Police!"
Mackenzie called out this time. They walked into the house slowly, clearing the living room and walking into the kitchen. They could smell the freshly brewed coffee mixed with the metallic tang. Mackenzie went to the door on the left and opened it. He found a room that was wrecked. The computer was almost completely on the ground. He could see blood on a few objects as well as a poster on the ground, it too covered in blood.
"Clear."
Collins moved to the right towards the small hall that led to the bedroom. One door was open, leading to a bathroom.
"Clear."
Collins called as he saw no one in the bathroom. As he turned around, he could see blood on the walls. He moved slowly, following it. It led to a door that was busted in. Blood covered the door, and a terrible sound hit his ear. He hadn't heard it until now, as he grew closer to the doors. As his flashlight followed into the room, he saw a dresser had been pushed in the way, and a man covered in blood. He was eating what had to be his wife. His hands and arms were covered in blood. Collins took a step back in shock. The sound was his teeth scraping against her bones. Slowly the man stopped his eating and looked up at Collins, blood dripping from his chin, small hunks of meat stuck to his cheeks.
"Sir, put your hands in the air."
The officer put his hand on his gun as the man started to get up.
"Sir, this is your last warning."
He called out as the blood-covered man started to move towards him. He pulled his gun out and pointed at the man. "Last warning!" The man let out a moan before a bullet ripped through his heart, killing him within that shot. He fell onto the ground next to his wife. Mackenzie ran over, his gun pulled out as well.
"You okay, Collins?"
"Yes, I think I killed him." They could hear the ambulance pulling up as Colin walked over and touched the guy's neck.
"Dead?"
When Colin got to his feet, he fell onto the ground next to his wife. Mackenzie ran over, his gun pulled out as well.
"You okay, Collins?"
"Yes, I think I killed him." They could hear the ambulance pulling up as Colin walked over and touched the guy's neck.
"Dead?"
When Colin got to his feet and moved back, both of them stared at the scene before them. Jen was almost completely gone, her body mostly eaten or ripped apart. It was almost hard to tell that it was a human besides the 2 feet that had not been touched. The officers looked at each other before leaving the scene.
We need a forensic team.
Mackenzie called to his radio. We have 2 dead bodies on scene. Get a coroner out here as well. They were heading to the door where the paramedics were rushing up. The officers both shook their heads at them, and Mackenzie held up a hand. Both are dead, and you do not want to go in there. The paramedics stopped dead and looked at them. We really should check, though, one of them said. The officer's words seemed to shake her, but she knew she had a job to do. Collins walked down the stairs and bent over the garden. His guts spilled out onto the flowers. Like I said, don't go in there. The less scars you get, the better, Mackenzie said, pulling the cigarette out as he moved out of their way. Collins, grab the door opener when you're done, please. Colin gave him a thumbs up as he stood there wiping his mouth. The paramedics headed back to their truck, getting their gear and putting it away. Mackenzie headed to the patrol car before he lit his cigarette. He took a long drag and then pulled out the crime scene tape. This was not how he wanted to end his shift.
We have another attack on 77th Street, another on 42nd Ave,
called the radio. The sunrise was a deep red like the color of blood. Now my question to you, do you see what I mean when I say the amazingly talented 242?
All right, everybody. Graham, that was an excellent narration. Don't know if you're still here with me. Yeah, you are. Graham, that narration... Oh, wait. I am muted in the Discord. Graham, that narration was excellent. Thank you so much for sending that to me. Thank you so much for sharing. That was awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Gotta love zombie stories.
Exactly. Yeah, they're 100% my passion. I did notice that I screwed up the accent of the video, so that might be something I fix up. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for sending that to us, and thank you for being on with me today and helping me out with this stream. Also want to give a special shout out. Thank you so much to Samantha Scotton for joining the Scare Squad. Thank you so much to Glenda's Voiceover Projects for joining the Scare Squad. And thank you so much to the Grim Reaper's Nightmare for $5 Monopoly dollars.
It was the emoji I liked, so don't get too excited.
That was the emoji you liked. Interscare Wifey has something to say.
Yes, I'd like to thank Miss Cannabis. She's an amazing new mod that we have.
Yes.
And I want to drop her channel. She has a chill out kind of like gaming channel. Very relaxed, very fun. She actually waited to go live tonight until after we're done, just so that it wasn't, a conflict. So we really, really appreciate her.
Absolutely. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to... So first of all, if you like gaming content, gaming live streams, things of that nature, go follow Miss Cannabis over on YouTube. Interscare Wifey just dropped her link in the chat. Go subscribe to her channel. She does some pretty fun live stream stuff over there. Great moderator. Thank you so much, Miss Cannabis, for helping us out. Also, if you want to enter into the first giveaway... What? 2023.
Mm-hmm. Drop it in chat.
I don't know what you're saying.
Drop it in chat.
I'll drop 2023 in chat.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to enter into our first giveaway, type 2023 in the chat. I will gather the names, and then I will put them into our name randomizer, and then we will randomize our names, randomize the names on stream, pick the name, etc., etc. We will draw that at 10:30, so make sure that you put 2023 in chat.
Did you say what we're giving away?
We are giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. So our first giveaway is a $50 Amazon gift card. So if you want to enter in to win the $50 Amazon gift card, make sure that you type in 2023 in chat before 10:30. Alrighty, and then while we are getting all of these names here, I'm going to go ahead and play a story and let you all listen to that. Make sure that you type in 2023 in chat. I'm just going to play a story so that I can aggregate all of these names before 10:30. I've lurked and commented on this subreddit before, and I've been asked to share some stories. For some background, I worked as a cop for several years before becoming a ranger. I've been a ranger in a large United States national park for a while now, and have some things that I'll never forget. Creepy things and things that'll show the brutality and hatred that humans are capable of. So let's jump into it. I was on night shift. I patrolled the park looking for any type of illegal activity, like drug use, prostitution, poaching, etc. I got a call for a man looking into a cabin where a summer camp was going on. So great. Some effing creep probably jerking it to little girls. I blacked out. No headlight or sirens. Parked a little ways down and walked in hopes of catching the guy. Sure as crap, guy was looking in windows. I start my approach and flick on my flashlight and told him not to move and to show me his hands. He turns around, looks at me and starts saying he's sorry. I put him in handcuffs and detain him while I searched him and waited for backup. I found his ID, a knife and some miscellaneous things. I put him into another officer's vehicle while I made contact with the counselors. They stated that they had seen him earlier in the day but thought nothing of it. After taking statements, I run his name. Registered offender. I opened the door to talk to him, and not my proudest moment, but I was tired. He was looking at little kids, and I said, "What the F do you think you're doing, you sick F?" He looked me in the eyes, no reaction, and said to me in a cold, monotone voice, "I was able to smell them. They're ready to breed, officer." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just closed the door. I stayed on scene for the rest of the night to ease everyone's mind and act as a deterrent. Obviously, he ended up being charged. Thinking about what he said and the way that he said it still makes me feel sick. He's now banned, and I believe still in prison, where I believe creeps like him should stay forever. He ruined a great outdoor experience and may have scared these poor kids from camping, hiking, fishing, or hunting. Or just enjoying the outdoors for life. I could go on and on about some of the awful people and stuff that I've heard, seen, and responded to. But cases involving children in any way are the worst. Alrighty, and we are back. So, we have roughly 2 minutes before we do our first giveaway. If you have not done so yet, make sure that you type in 2023 in the chat. We are giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. Type 2023 in chat, and we will get you entered to win. I also need to create a new scene here that I forgot to create. Give me one moment here. I do apologize. Alrighty, I apologize. I gotta create this scene real quick, y'all. Get it to where I can share the screen here. Alrighty, so here is our wheel of names. If you are not on the wheel yet, make sure that you enter in that chat.
Yes, I see some more numbers dropping in chat.
Yes, I see that as well. I'm going to go ahead and move my face down so that you guys can see there the list. If you guys are not on that list, make sure that you type in 2023 and I will go ahead and get you entered in to win. Alrighty, it is now 10:30. We are going to be spinning to win 3, 2. Oh, JoJo Beans got in just in the nick of time.
Best of luck, everyone.
Yes, best of luck to everybody. I wish that I could give every one of you a $50
I agree.
Amazon gift card, but unfortunately, this is the most fair way to do it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
It didn't really spin, did it? Weird.
Elizabeth Tyrell, thank you so much for entering in onto our giveaway. Elizabeth, if you want to win, or if to claim your prize, email me at business@innerscare.com with a screenshot to prove that it's your profile. Email me at business@innerscare.com to claim your prize. Did you have something to say, Innerscare Wifey? Nope. Okay. Yes. Go ahead and email me at business@innerscare.com to claim your prize. Now let's go ahead and go back to our main scene here. Congratulations to Elizabeth.
And stick around because we'll be having another giveaway.
Yes, there will be another giveaway during this stream. We are giving away 2 of those $50 Amazon gift cards today. So if you didn't win the first one, make sure that you stick around so that you might win the second one. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and
I
move on.
would say hurry up, Elizabeth. Grim is after that gift card.
Money.
Yes,
money.
Yeah, Grim's definitely in there.
I'm allowed to have some sense of humor, okay?
Phoenix, would
Yes,
you like
sir.
to read us a story, my friend?
I'm going to, and to the chat, I'm going to go ahead and read some. It's more horrific than anything. My heart, my heart and passion lies within horror. So I'm going to read this story. It is not long, but it is about a medium length. So without further ado, this story is entitled Almost Abducted by a Serial Killer, and this is a true story. As unbelievable as my story may sound, I promise I am not trolling, and every word I'm about to write is the honest truth. I cannot specifically remember exactly what grade I was in, but I do remember that I was in middle school. I remember this detail because when this event took place, I was with someone that was only my friend during my middle school years. After that, my friend moved away and we lost touch. This story takes place on the outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri during the 1980s. For reference, we will call the friend I was with Amy. It had been a fun day with Amy. My mom had dropped us off at the mall where we had been wandering around window shopping and trying on clothes. This was a very tiny mall in a small town on the outskirts of St. Louis. Because this mall was so tiny, it didn't have a lot of restaurants or food court. However, there was a McDonald's across the way. To get there faster, you could cut through a field that was in between the mall parking lot and a street. Once you cut across the field and cross the road, McDonald's was right there. So Amy and I went to McDonald's, ordered our food, and sat down. We were eating our ice cream and chatting away when a man walked in and sat down at the table in front of ours. The way we were sitting put Amy's back to him and left me facing his direction. Almost immediately, I began to get an uneasy feeling because not only did this man not order anything to eat, he just sat there the entire time staring at me with the angriest look on his face. He wasn't even trying to hide the fact that he was staring. I also remember he had these piercing eyes that were bright blue. Now keep in mind that this was before cell phones were abundant, so calling my mom wasn't an option. I should maybe get the attention of an adult working there or ask to use the phone. All I could remember thinking was the scary man was making me very uncomfortable. So Amy and I finished our food and ice cream. I had used her head to obstruct the man's view of my face and whispered to her what he had been doing. I told her if I told her if he followed us that we needed to run. Sure enough, as soon as we got up to leave, so did he. We rushed out the door as fast as we could. Then we began the sprint. I looked back. I looked behind me, and he was getting into one of those boat-sized cars they made in the 70s and early 80s. Luckily for us, there wasn't much traffic, and we were able to cross the street before he had a chance to get to us. When we got to the field, I turned around to look to see where he was again. Before I go further, let me note that next to the field was the street that ran horizontally, the one that crossed. And then to the left of the field, there was another street that ran vertically. That street intersected with the one we had to cross, so the field was basically in the corner of these streets. The street to the left didn't run in a perfectly straight line, though. It ran in a diagonal direction that would eventually take you to the mall parking lot. This was good because when I turned around again, I could see that he was watching to see where we were going. Next, he turned onto the street to the left of us and was driving very fast. He was definitely coming for us. Like I said, the street that ran diagonally took him in the direction away from us, but would eventually have us end up in the same parking lot. It was very obvious he was trying to get to the mall parking lot before we could get there, because the road he was on went away from us and we were shortcutting it through the field, plus running as fast as we could. We were able to get inside of the mall before he could catch us. We got very, very lucky. Once we got inside of the mall, we frantically ran up to a security guard and told him what happened. Shockingly enough, he blew our story off as an exaggerated tale from two dramatic middle school children. Things were much different back then. Today, if young kids approached an adult with a story like that, the police would be called right away, and a description of the man and his vehicle would be taken. Even worse than that, when Amy and I told my mother the story, she blew us off as well. My mother was emotionally neglectful and definitely was not the best parent growing up. I had serious trust issues towards adults growing up because of many situations just like this. I felt alone and unheard. This event being an important reason I felt that way. But that's another story. So fast forward to the few days ago. My husband was watching a YouTube video about serial killers. I stopped dead in my tracks because as he was watching it, a familiar picture popped up on the video. One of the pictures of the man mentioned in this video was the man from McDonald's. I am 95% certain it was him. His name was Tommy Lynn Sells. Let me add that I have an excellent memory and am definitely a visual learner. I suck at names, but never forget faces. I can even remember a few people and events from when I was only 3 years old. This was such a scary event that I never forgot that man's face or the angry look that radiated off of him. It definitely stayed engraved in my young mind. No doubt that man was evil. My husband already knew my story. When I told him, I thought that was the man who attempted to kidnap me, but he was a bit skeptical. So together, we decided to do a little further research on this guy. What came next only solidified what I suspected. Tommy Lynn Sells was killing people, sometimes young girls my age, and he was indeed killing people in the St. Louis area during that time. He was also working at carnivals and was traveling, killing other people in other states. Unlike most serial killers, he didn't have a type. Anyone he could get his hands on was fair game. He just liked the rush of killing. What made this creepier was the mall that Amy and I were at had a carnival going on every summer in the parking lot on the other side of where we were. I cannot remember what month it was when this happened, but I do remember the weather was hot. I'm relatively positive it was summertime. I wonder if he was working for the carnival. The picture of him on Wikipedia is exactly what the man at McDonald's looked like, even down to the same evil, angry look. I will never forget that expression. I've been mulling over and over ever since. I don't know if I should contact the FBI with my story, though he was executed in 2014. LE knows of 22 murders he committed, but they suspect there are many, many more. My story might place him in an area someone disappeared from, but I don't know how helpful it would be considering I can't remember the exact month or year. I don't even know if I would be believed. What would you listeners do? If and when I do go to the FBI, I will update everyone on what happened. Thank you, everyone. It really means a lot.
Phoenix. Phoenix, thank you so much for reading that, dude. Everyone, if you want to go subscribe to Phoenix, there are two places you can go to subscribe to him. That is youtube.com/@backtoashes_YT, or you can go to youtube.com/@phoenixfire_YT.
I'd like to brag on him for a second for anybody that wasn't here in the beginning of the stream. I am a severe insomniac, and the audio quality on these videos, as well as the perfect narration, is absolutely insane. I'm not just saying it. It's mind-blowing how
I agree.
clear and crisp and how quickly it puts me to sleep and I stay asleep. There's no jump scares or anything like that.
I absolutely agree.
I have a voice for radio, or my baritone voice will put them to sleep, so I can
Super
do
calming.
horror.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
I actually you and I released a sleep video on the same day one time. And I go to bed, and Inner Scare Wifey is listening to yours.
I get messages from you two all the time. It's like Inner Scare's listening and Wifey's blaring it on the TV. It makes me laugh.
I just love it here.
Definitely go subscribe to. If you're here on this channel, then I know that you like sleep narration. So definitely go subscribe to Back to Ashes. And if you're also a fan of horror narration, go subscribe to his main channel as well, Phoenix Fire Narrations. Great narrator.
It's pretty graphic, it's pretty gory, but you have to be an avid horror lover.
Absolutely. I think we can move on to our next story. This story is one that is pretty relatable, because who hasn't been to a Target, right? Target Creep, written by you/historicalnerd98. It was Christmas time, and I remember that I had broken my ankle prior to this, so I was wearing my cast now. The doctors gave me this shoe thing so I could walk without crutches. My cast was bright pink. Looking back, why? Anyways, my parents and I were going Christmas shopping at Target, but we ended up literally buying some socks and shampoo. Not much. We didn't even buy any gifts, so it was a waste of time. So we paid, and we were leaving when I saw this white male just staring at our car. Now, we had parked in a semi-empty area. There were only a couple of cars. Like, he wasn't looking inside and snooping around the car. He was just standing straight, staring at the right side of the car. Now, at the time, we had this beige-brown color Ford Explorer. It was a 2002. So I'm so confused. And we didn't have anything inside at all, so I was even more creeped out. Now, I wanted to go back and get a security guard, but my dad said that it was fine and that he'll tell him to move, and told me to get in the left side. Usually I sit on the right side, so yeah. Now we got there, and this dude did not move even when my dad told him to move. He just stood and stared inside. My mom just said to get in the car quickly, and we did. We all got in, and the man just stood there and kept staring inside. I felt his gaze on me because, again, he was staring at the right side behind the driver's seat. So since I got in, he was staring at me. But I didn't look. I just looked ahead of me. And at this point, I was kind of scared that my dad was going to hit him because he was pretty close. So my dad backs up and is turning to go out the parking lot, when we see the guy move and open the left side of the car. Oh my God. At that point I screamed, and my dad just sped off. And when he did, the door closed because he turned, and oh my God, my heart was pounding. As we sped off, we saw him just stand there, and then start moving to the entrance of Target. Now I literally was having so many thoughts in my head. Like, oh my God, what if he put a tracker or something on our car? Because we don't know how long he had just been standing there. But my parents were like, no, I don't think so. He was probably just some creep. That night I prayed like, Lord, please don't let him track us. I was so terrified. Besides being scared and creeped out, we were fine. The next day my parents had work, and they'd usually take me since it was a Sunday. Well, to get there, we had to pass this same Target. And when we did, we just saw an empty parking lot with that same blonde, long-haired white guy. When I say my heart stopped, I was terrified. Even my parents were shocked. And he was just there, staring as we drove by. After that, we never saw him again. Now, this may have been 6 years ago, but that was so scary and creepy. I never want to meet that guy again. P.S. Yes, we still go to that Target, but we make sure to park where there are many, many cars. Enter Scare Wifey.
So, you've asked everyone else kind of what their channel's about or what they're wanting to do in the new year, etc., etc. What things you have coming up?
So, so I talked a little bit at the beginning of this stream. So I just started this channel this year. I started it in June of this year, and it has grown so much in the amount of time that we've had it. And I want to let every person that is watching this right now know I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every one of our viewers, each and every one of our subscribers, everyone who likes, everyone who comments. Every one of you guys are absolutely amazing. My goal is to continue to grow this channel. I want to get this channel to at least 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. That is one of my goals. I want to continue to give you guys the content that you guys love, the content that you deserve. I want to continually increase the quality of my content. I want to make my videos bigger, better, and longer. So at least one video that I post every month is going to be 8 hours long. I'm going to have an 8-hour long sleep video posted at least once a month. So that'll be 6 hours of stories, 2 hours of rain.
I'll say that this man spends so much time in his studio. It's crazy, the dedication that he has for this channel, and I'm so proud of him. This is a huge dream of his, and I know this is a very humbling experience for him.
Absolutely. You guys, every one of you, you're literally making my dreams come true right now. And my goal is to just make it bigger, better, longer, better quality. You all are absolutely amazing. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to make the quality better. I want to incorporate longer videos into my schedule. I want to make the content that you guys deserve. You guys have done so much for me as far as all of your views, you guys have literally changed my life with all of your support, and I want to give back by creating better content for every one of you. So, with that being said, if you guys have any suggestions on how I can do that, on how I can make the videos better for you all, how I can better serve you as my audience, please let me know. I am 100% open to suggestions. I am 100% open to doing whatever I can to make your experience on the Inner Scare Sleep YouTube channel better. But yeah, so I know that was kind of a long way to answer that, but thank you so much for asking that, Inner Scare Wifey. Grim, I know that you said that you had a story picked out that you wanted to read live.
Yes. Now, I've got two choices, and I'll let you guys decide. There's one that I wrote, which I will come up with as I'm reading it, or there is the one that you guys have provided.
You keep cutting out there, Grim. I don't know if...
Oh. Is that better?
Yes, you haven't cut out yet, anyways.
Alright, that's probably just me hitting my microphone. Is it okay now?
Yes, that is much better. Much better.
Alright, so I have two stories. One I wrote myself, yet to have an ending, or the other one is one that you've provided in the list of readable options. Which would you prefer to hear?
Well, I would like to hear both of them. So,
Same.
whichever one you want to read first, and then we can read the other one later on if you want.
Alright, well then I'll go with the one that you guys provided because it's short and doesn't take up too much of your time. This one is titled The Bloody Fatal Aftermath of a Camping Trip with Friends. I just like the title, to be fair.
Right. It's a good title.
It is a great title. Here we go. My friend, 25-year-old female from college, told me a harrowing story that happened to her and her friends in high school. She's from Buffalo, New York, and often went on camping trips to local upstate camping grounds. When she was a senior, her and 4 of her friends went to a campsite fitted with rows of cabins on the water that people could rent. As the sun went down, the girls noticed that their neighbors, a few cabins down, a group of guys, similar in age, were playing music and grooving around the campfire, drinking beers. One of the guys asked them if they all wanted to join. When they got over there and started hanging out with the guys, everything seemed completely normal, and they were having a fun time. As the night progressed, one of the guys there started to get blackout drunk and eventually pulled out a revolver that he said belonged to his dad. He started waving it around and playing with it. This obviously freaked everyone out, his own friends included. Eventually he started pointing the gun to his head and laughing, while his friends were yelling at him to put it away, and how that wasn't funny. The girls at this point were fairly disturbed and told the guys that they should go back to their cabin and said their goodbyes. When they got back to their cabin, they all talked about how freaky it was and expressed concerns for the drunk guy. They then moved on to their topics of conversation and forgot about the whole thing for the time being. A few hours later, sometime in the middle of the night,
they heard a loud bang coming from the direction of their neighbor's cabin. Shortly after this, a bridge of cops and their cars started to show up at the scene. One officer came out to my friend's cabin and started asking them questions about the cabin that they had visited earlier that night. When my friends asked the officer what had happened, he explained that the kid had shot himself in the head in front of his friends. They weren't able to discern if it was suicide or accidental. My friend to this day still has PTSD over this incident and explains that she rarely goes camping anymore. There you go.
Excellent narration, Grim. Thank you so much for that. Guys, again, if you want to go subscribe to the Grim Reaper's Nightmare, that is youtube.com/@the Grim Reaper's Nightmare. Inner Scare Wifey did put that in chat. You can just click on that link and subscribe to him. Make sure you do go subscribe. He's a great narrator, great horror narrator. I listened to each and every one of his videos, and he has a 4+ hour video that came out today. So he's got some great stories on that. I know that myself and Inner Scare Wifey are on there, as well as some other larger creators as well. I'm still mind blown that you got Mr. Creepypasta on there.
Oh man, that tripped me out so much. I didn't think it was going to happen. I felt really bad because he just finished getting over COVID. So it's like, I understand if you don't want to do it, you really don't have to. But he sent them through. It was just a blessing.
Speaking of COVID, we do have a couple of people that were supposed to come on today that ended up getting sick and not able to come on. The first of which was Lady Spookaria. Inner Scare Wifey, do you want to drop her link?
Of course.
She does horror narrations as well, some live streams, etc. If you want to go subscribe to her, Inner Scare Wifey's going to drop her link. She was going to read live, so she didn't send me a story to read, a story to play, but go check out her channel.
She has very spicy, fun lives.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Definitely a good place to be if you're into the horror community, if you like horror in general. Definitely go check out her channel. And then the second one is one of my favorite horror narrators.
Same.
On YouTube. I wish that he could be with us today, and that is the Draconian Universe. Inner Scare Wifey will be dropping his link as well. He did send me a narration. If you guys are into old time radio, right? And follow me on this, because Inner Scare Wifey's face just went like confused for a second. If you guys are into old time radio, like the old radio shows,
oh yes, I know,
where they made like a movie out of audio, that is what Draconian does on his channel a lot of times. His effects, as well as his accents and the different things that he does. I'll play. Here's what I'm going to do.
His audio is also immaculate.
Yeah.
I'm very picky.
I agree.
And he is on point every single time.
What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to play the narration that he sent me first, but then I'm also going to play a snippet of one of his videos, because I want you guys to hear what it sounds like on his channel as well. So without further ado, the Draconian Universe.
The old woman in the farmhouse. I know you hear this a lot, but I think I should start by saying that this whole story is true. I understand that this is just creepypasta, and I have no reason to believe that any of you will truly believe in my experience, since the internet is packed with liars. Nevertheless, this story is, to the best of my recollection, 100% true, even though my assertion only weakens my argument. At any rate, Another bit of important information that I'd like to share before getting to the real meat of my story is that I was never a non-believer. I've grown up seeing things that others couldn't, experiencing things that others couldn't, and knowing that others didn't have my perception. My mother was the same way growing up, as was her mother before her. Although Grandma was more frightened by the idea of it than anything and chose to push the ability away. So, this isn't me discovering the world of the paranormal by any means. Merely what I consider to be a perplexing experience one night with an old woman in an even older house. My dad's best friend, affectionately nicknamed Pothead, had finally found a woman that he felt could complete him, who happened to live in the United Kingdom. While the distance was great, the romance was greater, and before we knew it, she had traveled to Pothead's small, upstate New York farming town. With her, the woman, Kathy, brought her youngest son of 20 years and her only daughter of 14 years. Her daughter's name was Sarah, and she was only a year or so older than myself. When they moved in, my parents insisted that we meet the new family that Pothead had acquired. Sarah and I hit it off right away and became fast friends. Soon after, we were calling each other on the weekends, and I had business at Pothead's house that didn't involve tagging along with my father to play with the dogs. Eventually, an overnight visit was scheduled. The evening was normal enough. Sarah and I did the typical sleepover, makeover activities expected of young teenage girls, followed by a romantic comedy in bed. We shared a bed for the night, as it was large enough for us, and we didn't see the point in one of us sleeping on the floor. It was now that things began to get more interesting. I had known this house was old. All the homes in the small farming town were old. I also knew by the fact that much of the wood that the nearby barn was made of was in the process of rotting through. I had always seemed to sense a presence around the house, which was more protective than anything. So, it wouldn't have surprised me to discover that the house itself had experienced certain phenomena of mystery and intrigue. It was a 2-story house with one bathroom on the first floor and all the bedrooms on the second floor atop a very steep and narrow staircase. The basement floor was simply packed dirt that often loosened into muck when it flooded in the spring. We slept in the bedroom farthest from the staircase. Aside from the bed, dresser, mirror, and television, it contained 2 windows, one facing east and the other north. Next to the north window perpetually sat an old, shabby rocking chair that Pothead didn't seem to want to get rid of. It was made of dark wood, with a white seat cushion, which had discolored to a creamy yellow with age. Lace curtains hung in the windows, fluttering softly in the summer breeze. In the middle of the night, I woke up with a full bladder. I didn't want to walk all the way down the steep staircase while half asleep, but I knew it was a better idea than waiting until morning. As I sat up in bed, I looked towards the north window across the room. In the rocking chair, beyond the faintly billowing curtains, I saw an old woman. She was dressed in a white nightgown. Her ancient, wrinkled hands rested in her lap as she hummed a tuneless lullaby to herself. Her face was incredibly wrinkled, and her hair was an almost white shade of gray. She seemed relatively peaceful, if not a touch troubled. Upon seeing her, I sat up straight in surprise. She heard me and responded by turning towards me with a warm smile. It was shocking to say the least, but she seemed non-threatening, so I took it as a good sign and got up to head to the bathroom as calmly as I could. I went, did my business, and washed my hands. I had originally thought that perhaps she had been a remnant of a dream I had, but couldn't remember. So I splashed some cold water on my face to make sure that I was really awake and making my way back up the steps. Needless to say, she was still there. I peered into the room before entering to see if I could tell what she was there for, when I noticed her looking at Sarah. She didn't seem necessarily hostile or enraged, but you could tell she was upset and frustrated about something. Her brows furrowed in Sarah's direction, and as her eyes focused on my friend's face, the woman almost seemed to be genuinely angry. I tried to creep into the room, but my foot caught a loose floorboard, releasing a rather harsh squeak. The woman instantly turned towards me, and her features morphed back into the comforting smile presented to me when I first woke up. I shuffled back in the bed, clumsily bowing at her before finally laying down. I tried to watch her a little more, but she merely glared at Sarah one more time before giving me another smile and vanishing. I was somehow able to still sleep that night, but never forgot about the woman. I decided against saying anything because, while the woman seemed angry with Sarah, I had no sense from her that she would do anything destructive towards my friend. We ate breakfast, talked about girl stuff, and I eventually packed my overnight backpack and went home. After about a month, Sarah told me she was going back to England to live with her biological father. Before I could find time to come over or even ask for a better explanation than a simple "because I feel like I should," Sarah had left. When I next visited Pothead and Kathy, I discovered why. Apparently, Sarah had severe anger management issues, so much so that she had threatened to destroy the old farmhouse with everyone inside. I thought that this might have some connection to the old woman I had seen, and finally decided to ask Pothead about her. He didn't seem the type to believe in the paranormal, but he never really expressed any skepticism, so I thought it wouldn't hurt to ask. I discovered what had happened that night, giving more detail when he requested it, and doing my best to remain as honest as possible. After I finished, he told me to wait a moment while he shuffled around in his bedroom. When he returned, he held a photo of the woman in his hands. He asked me if it was really her. My response was affirmative, and he told me that the photograph was of his mother, who had died in the house. Apparently, she slept in what became Sarah's room and had always had a fondness for the old rocker. When she died, she left the house to Pothead, and he explained that he always felt like she protected him and his home, even though she had passed on. This made everything seem to make so much more sense. It seemed that she knew about Sarah's threats and must have wanted to protect the house and those inside. I still don't know why she was so friendly towards me. However, the only idea I can think of is that I'd paid a lot of visits to the home growing up, playing in the fields with the animals and respecting the home as much as I could. I'm 18 now and haven't been to the house in over 2 years. However, every once in a while, on a warm summer night, I think of that mysterious old woman I saw, what now seems to be so long ago.
And that was the Draconian Universe. So that was the story that he sent me, but I also want to show you guys a very, very small clip from his channel. And what I'm about to show you all is what really got me hooked on the Draconian Universe's channel. Make sure that you go drop him a subscription if you like horror narration. Let me go ahead and play just the beginning of this video. I'm going to go ahead and turn off of my rain sounds for this. Okay. And I want you all to listen to this. And if you have headphones, it is so much better with headphones. Here we go.
For the longest of times, people have speculated.
Wait, that's the wrong video. I apologize. I'm bad at that.
My name is Andrew Higgins. I'm a small-time detective based out of Greenwich.
This is the wrong one as well. Draconian, are you still in chat? If Draconian is still in chat, maybe he could tell me which one it was. It started with... Oh, it was this one. I think it was this one. Yes, it was this one. Just, if you have headphones on, you are about to... Is this the one that starts with like the demonic yelling type thing, Draconian? I think this one is it. Yes, this is it.
What is this? Where am I?
This right here got me hooked on his channel.
Who are you people? Let me out. Let me out. What?
Oh, I get chills every time I hear that. Written and directed by Draconian Universe Watcher MG. Okay, so that was just a very small clip that I wanted to play. Guys, if y'all like horror narration, go subscribe to Draconian. 100%.
We always argue over who found him first. I think it was me.
And I have to admit, Inner Scare Wifey probably did find him first. But I don't tell her I said that. But no, I've had him on my channel before, but I'm an avid viewer myself of Draconian. Definitely go give him a subscription, as well as everyone we've had on our stream today. All right, let's get these rain sounds.
Just subscribe to everybody. Everybody that is ever on YouTube, just subscribe to
if they're on YouTube, just go on YouTube,
Yeah.
type in channel, and subscribe to all of them.
That's right. That's right. Literally. Just don't even keyword it. Just any channel you ever see, just subscribe. You don't have to remain subscribed. I mean, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. But yeah, share the love.
Absolutely. Alrighty, so I've got 2 stories pulled up that I'm going to read. You guys asked for it, and we're going to deliver with some haunted house stories. Before I post this, know this. None of this is fiction. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered telling it. Back in 2012, when me and my sister were kids, we played with the Ouija board in our garage. Nothing ever happened. It never moved. Nothing. Well, after that, weird things started happening that I just ignore. Sounds of footsteps in the house with no one there. Someone banging on the front door at 3 to 4 a.m. with no one there. Dogs barking at nothing. Lights flickering. Well, the most thing that keeps happening is our hallway in the house. Sometimes the dogs will downright refuse to go down the hallway. It's like they are seeing something. All 4 of them will stand there, stiff, just staring and wagging their tails. I've taken pictures of the hallway. Nothing out of the ordinary. This happens at day and at night. 10 years later, the dogs still do this. One of mine passed away in 2020, so I got a new one. He does the same thing. Refuses to come down the hallway. I have to beg and walk with him slowly or he won't come. He will lay down or sit at the beginning of the hallway. What's weird is sometimes the light flickers here, but I honestly have no idea why the dogs do this. Also, I forgot to mention that all the dogs at random times of the day will run down the hallway barking and growling ferociously. Any ideas? 10 years and this still happens. Our next story is entitled Haunted Apartment by Shipworking 6023. So back when I was around 14 to 17 years old, I was living with my aunt in an apartment, and our neighbors told us that there was a murder in the apartment next to us, where a drug addict killed his wife due to jealousy, and him getting killed by the wife's family. When we moved in there was a bunch of stuff happening at night, like the door getting knocked or like rattled from being forced entry. And we actually have a gate, so every time we check the windows, there's no one there, etc. When we learned the backstory of the apartment, I kinda got scared. And there's always like a glimpse of a white shadow of a woman passing through the tables or walls. She's a kind ghost or spirit though. Doesn't scare me, but does like to scare my friends when they mock her. We call her best friend. When my aunt got an apartment to be blessed by a priest, she may have accepted us a bit. We always do offerings for her, lighting a candle and food, and sometimes, somehow, we get blessings. And the 2 terrifying experiences I had was when I woke up at around 3 a.m. because I heard a crash around my wardrobe. I immediately got up, went to my aunt's room, and I remember my aunt waking up wearing all black, asking me what I was doing, to which I replied, I'm scared. Then she got up and went straight to the bathroom. I kinda calmed down and didn't wait for my aunt to come back. So I went in my room. I took my phone out of the charger and put it next to me when I slept. So when lunch came, I told her what happened, and she said I don't remember that happening, and told me that she was wearing a blue shirt and pink shorts. Not all black. She joked that maybe I was dreaming, but I wasn't, because if I did, then my phone should have still been charging. Still creeps me out when I remember it. And the second time was when it was raining, and power suddenly went out. It was an early afternoon. I was playing on my laptop. Aunt called me into her room and told me to pull out the refrigerator's plug. As I got outside of her room, the door to the dirty kitchen was open and I saw a black shadow of a man, and all I felt was terror. I actually screamed and cried and went back inside the room yelling, "There's a man," repeatedly. When my aunt checked, there was nothing, and the dirty kitchen has no other entry other than the dining room, so it really scared the crap out of me. Either those spirits really liked to scare me because I was young and a scaredy cat, or were those like the evil ones? I don't know. And ever since, I learned to ignore them, because my aunt told me that the more they see I'm scared, the more they'll show themselves. So, that first story got me thinking. Weird things happening after somebody playing with a Ouija board. Have any of you all ever played with a Ouija board before? I know that I haven't, but I've heard some crazy stories. Phoenix or Grim?
I've played with Ouija boards. I've never had anything chaotic happen, shall I say.
Never. Interscare Wifey?
I have. I'm like the last person that should be playing with one, to be honest with you. One time I was a witness to it.
Real quick, I don't mean to cut you off. I am so sorry. Glenda, thank you so much for that $20 super chat. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for that. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I had to say thank you to Glenda real quick. I apologize, Interscare Wifey. I just saw it popped up and I got like taken aback.
Well, I've witnessed other people doing it, and sometimes you wonder how much of it is just, people getting into it psychologically, you know what I mean? And how much of it is real. I've had it talk for me and stuff like that before, but I try to stay away from anything like that, really. It does work, I think, sometimes. I think it's a door that you open, though.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Can potentially be really bad.
Yeah, it can be for sure. Absolutely. That first story just got me thinking, didn't know if anybody had any stories that they wanted to tell. I've never even touched one. The closest I've ever been to was seeing it on the shelf at Toys R Us when I was a kid. I stay far away from those things.
I'm going to step in here and say, Miss Cannabis said, I have. Actually, my mom bought me one for us to play with at my 13th birthday party.
Wow.
Wow.
Is your mom okay? Just a quick question. Like, what?
Wow. Could you imagine being like, "Hey, sweetie, happy birthday. Here's a demon."
Please slip this demon into our house right now. I just need a little bit of entertainment.
Maybe they're creating a new Exorcist movie. Maybe Miss Cannabis will be starring in the second part of it.
She said at my 13th birthday party, it predicted when my grandfather would die, and it actually came true.
Oh, wow.
Glenda said, my mom played with one as a kid. She asked it who she was going to marry, and it gave her my dad's birthday.
Oh, dude.
I was at home, and it told me to go home, so that kind of really wasn't very impressive.
Well, it may have been telling you to go.
I'm sorry, guys. Hello, Lady Spookaria. Hi.
Welcome in, Spookaria.
Happy New Year to you. I know you're the woman from the future. Welcome. Happy New Year's Day.
Yes, Happy New Year's to everyone who is in a later time zone than us.
Yeah, they live in the future.
We actually spoke earlier.
Yes, we did. We dropped Lady Spookaria's link earlier. Do you want to go ahead and drop it again since she's with us now?
I just did.
Okay, perfect. She's well ahead of me. Yes, so make sure that you go subscribe to Lady Spookaria. She does some narrations and things over on her channel as well as some super fun live streams that she has over there. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Spookaria.
She is amazing to work with. I love working with Lady Spookaria. Whenever you do a collab with her, she gives nothing but 200%. She's amazing.
So Inner Scare Wifey has been curating requests from chat as well, and she said that people were asking for ocean stories.
Not chat from today. It was from the post.
Oh, from the post.
We have some viewers who don't chat. They just want to enjoy stories.
Yeah.
They
So
want
from the post
some
from the other day.
ocean stories. There's a few other types that were asked for in the actual post.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and read one ocean story here, so that the people who do enjoy those can get their fill. This one is by you/one dumb diver. When I was 15, I took the family boat out and dove the reef myself to clear my head. That was mistake number one. I was down at a depth of 90 feet when I was only rated for 60. While diving, I spotted a 3.5 meter mako shark coming right for me. For those who are unaware, makos are basically the cheetahs of the ocean, and they only have 2 speeds: curious, which is harmless, and lunch, which is very much harmful. This guy was in lunch mode, so I hovered, as I had been trained to do since there was no way for me to escape it. Nowadays, we dive with shark shields, which emit electronic pulses that freak the sharks out and keep them away. But back then, what we used was essentially a chainmail sleeve. The idea being that sharks hate the taste of metal, so if you give it your arm, it'll bite down, decide you're gross, and move along. So I wait and it comes, and I make a perfect move to give it my arm. However, just before the crunch, it occurred to me that I had left my sleeve on my bed. I had my kelp knife drawn. However, now I had a series of problems. I had a huge open gashing wound on my arm from the bite, in open water, and trailed blood everywhere. Once the shock wore off, you realize that you're in salt water, and salt and open wounds don't feel good. In a panic, I dropped my weight belt and shot up to the surface without any sort of waiting period, because I hadn't been paying attention to the currents. I was approximately a quarter mile downstream from my boat, which means that I had to swim to it. So I ended up racing back to shore with nothing more than a tourniquet to staunch the bleeding. Long story short, my series of unfortunate self-inflicted events earned me 172 stitches, boatloads of physical therapy because the shark had actually bitten down on my tricep and detached it, and easily identifiable scars on one of my arms for the rest of my life. Oh, and I lost my deceased grandfather's favorite kelp knife that he had left me. We'll go ahead and read one more ocean story. I like those.
Grim was going to go after you as well.
Grim was going to go after me. Grim, do you want to read a story?
Yes, give me 2 seconds. I am just trying to get life back together because my system broke. Okay, well, I guess what I'll do is I'll just read one of those ocean stories because we've only got 30 minutes left before time ticks out. So, one momento.
No
I was
problemo.
prepared earlier, I promise.
I apologize.
Let's see, you've already read one, so that's already been deleted, I'll make sure.
Did you mark it?
Cool.
I didn't mark it, but I'll mark it right now. There, I marked it with a laughing emoji.
Perfect. Alright. So this one is by the user Keith B. I'm a rescue diver, and I was diving in a submerged blue hole in the Bahamas, and a diver went missing. After an hour or 2 of searching, I went back to the blue hole to see if there was any sign of him. I saw a glint of his watch on his arm, sticking out near the bottom. I started descending to the bottom to recover the body, and on the way down I realized that the bottom was actually a school of sharks that must have been there for breeding. There were so many sharks that they blocked the view of the actual bottom. I descended into the darkness, grabbed his arm and started ascending. The sharks followed and were circling both of us. I had to take a break halfway around the 65 feet not to get the bends. I was scared.
You can say it.
About I was scared shitless. I spent about 8 minutes, nearly 70 feet underwater, surrounded by a school of sharks and a dead body in one hand.
Wow. Some of these sharks are not sharks, but ocean stories are scary.
100%.
I didn't realize how scary the ocean stories
it's
really
oceans
are.
and cave diving and shipwreck stories. I think that that's going to be an upcoming video because
Absolutely.
I am falling down this rabbit hole that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrifying.
Let me know in chat if you would like to hear a true scary ocean story inner scare sleep video. Let me
I'm
know
not going to say that I'm going to steal that idea, but I'm going to steal that idea. It won't be a sleep video though. You can keep that. As I said, this channel I'm going to probably...
Please do. I want as many as I can to listen
Absolutely.
to.
As many ocean stories as possible, because
please.
those kind of freaked me out.
There's a lot of good subreddits right now that have professional divers and stuff on there. So.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Phoenix, would you want to read a story for us?
Sure will. And before I get started, I want everyone to know we have got 28 minutes before the new gets here.
28
New
minutes.
year gets here.
Before the new what, sorry, Phoenix?
The new year gets here, 2023.
That's the one.
Very excited. All right. So I'm not sure if we've read it on this stream or not, but I'm going to go ahead and give all of you beautiful listeners a creepy encounter story. Here we go. I've lurked and commented on this subreddit before, and I've been asked to share some stories. For some background, I worked as a cop for several years before becoming a ranger. I've been a ranger in a large U.S. national park for a while now, and have some things that I'll never forget. Creepy things and things that show the brutality and hatreds humans are capable of. So, let's jump into it. I was on night shift. I patrolled the park looking for any type of illegal activity, like drug use, prostitution, poaching, etc. I got a call from a man looking into a cabin where a summer camp was going on. So, great. Some freaking creep probably jerking it to little girls. I backed out. No headlights or sirens. Parked a little ways away and walked in hopes of catching this guy. Sure as shit, homie was looking in windows. I start my approach and flick on my flashlight and told him not to move and show me his hands. He turns around, looks at me, and starts saying he's sorry. I put him in handcuffs and detained him while I searched him and waited for backup. I found his ID, a knife, and some miscellaneous things. I put him into another officer's vehicle while I made contact with the counselors. They stated they had seen him earlier in the day but thought nothing of it. After taking statements, I run his name. Registered sex offender. I opened the door to talk to him, and not my proudest moment. But I was tired. He was looking at little kids, and I said, "What the fuck do you think you're doing, you sick fuck?" He looked me in the eyes, no reaction, and said to me in a cold, monotone voice, "I was able to smell them. They're ready to breed, officer." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just closed the door. I stayed on scene for the rest of the night to ease everyone's mind and act as a deterrent. Obviously, he ended up being charged. Thinking about what he said and the way he said it still makes me feel sick. He's now banned and I believe still in prison, where I believe creeps like him should stay forever. He ruined a great outdoor experience and may have scarred those poor kids from camping, hiking, fishing, or hunting, and just enjoying the outdoors for life. I could go on, but some of these awful people and shit I've heard, seen, and responded to. But cases involving children in any way are the worst. There you go.
Alrighty, and we also, so Spookaria originally wasn't going to be able to join us because she was feeling a little under the weather. However, she did message Wifey and I and say that she was able to join us. So Spookaria, welcome in. You are currently muted. You may have to unmute yourself. But
welcome, Aussie fam.
It says I'm in lobby.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you are.
There. Hi, Spookaria.
Hello. Hello.
How are you, dear?
I'm feeling a little better. I was
Good.
feeling so sick earlier. I'm like, oh no.
It's so great to have you here.
It's my pleasure to be here. The party has officially started.
Whatever.
Hush up, Kiwi.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to talk about your channel a little bit and let everyone know what you do and who you are and all of that?
I am a 7,003-year-old demon, and I write a lot of my own horror stories for my channel. I do other people's stories as well. I also have a series called the Harper Codex, which I'll be revising this year, well, 2023, because it's 2023 where I am right now. But yeah, I have my live streams that are known to be chaotic. I don't know where that comes from. But yeah, that's basically what I do, and that's who I am.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check out some of Lady Spookaria's work, like she said, she writes a lot of her own stories that she narrates. Make sure to go check her out. Interscare Wifey has dropped her link in chat again. Do you have anything prepared that you wanted to read?
I do. I'm a little bit worried because I haven't read on stream for a while, and I don't know if I've really proofread the story, but you know what? It'll be funny for everyone else besides me.
No problem.
You have accepting and loving chat here, so you're okay.
Thank you.
Almost all of us.
Almost.
You do have a Kiwi.
All three of us
I
have
know,
already.
I know.
All three of us have goofed up, so you're gonna be just fine, lady.
Okay. It'll be alright. It'll be fine. Everything's fine.
Alrighty. Without further
Alright.
ado, Lady Spookaria.
I need to keep watch. I've been in this cabin alone for months now. Every time I try to make it back home, there is something or someone that always tries to block my path. The small wooden cabin has become my prison when it started as a refuge from the chaos of city life. I was drawn to the simplicity, a place where I'd not be pressured into conforming to any particular ideal. I wanted to find silence. I wanted to be able to truly be myself without the expectations of others around me. I didn't want to stay too long either. Just a quick breather. Months ago, I sat and browsed different sites to find the right one online. I didn't really set a criteria. All I wanted was to find the right place. And I knew it was the one. The moment I set my eyes on it, the amount of properties I scrolled through was a blur. When I found it online, I knew it was perfect for me. It had enough modern luxury to be comfortable, yet not too much. I need to feel like I was in the wild, the risk of the unknown, away from civilization. I remember when I pulled up just before dusk. The forest around me had dimmed, and the sound of birds filled my ears. Instantly, I felt relaxed, and I started to finally feel at home. Without the noise of the city, the lights, the sounds, and all the people just filling the space with their noise and stench. I could finally breathe. I parked my car, took the keys, and walked up the creaking and walked up the creaking steps of the cabin. It wasn't too expensive to hire it for the weekend. A breakaway from my normal life to work on my books, my stories. And I never believed that I would And I never believed I would be in one of them. That night I didn't do much. Cooked myself something to eat, poured a glass of wine, and began to write on the porch. There was the sounds of birds, crickets, and other wildlife. Most of the time, I would open my laptop and sit on the front porch with my coffee. Day or night, it didn't matter. The days blurred into each other. I was finally able to get the work done that I wanted. I was away from my girlfriend, my life, and everything that held me back. Words flowed out of me. I could see visions of stories in my head that craved to be born, and I was helpless. I refused to stop. There was nothing to make me stop this time either. I wrote each word and only craved to write more. After a while, the words became slower, and I began to miss the little things from my normal life. On the third week of the first month, I began to notice a change in the air. Something merely felt off, and I wanted to know what I was doing to cause this change. I figured that the loneliness had set in, and finally had to check my emails. There were none. Except for the emails I hadn't replied to, when I should have months ago. Odd. It wasn't like people in my life wouldn't try to contact me. I checked my Wi-Fi connection, and it was still working. I checked my phone, the Wi-Fi was working on it too. The reception was perfectly fine. I had no new messages on it either. I wondered what happened and found myself worried for my loved ones. I called my girlfriend. Her nagging usually annoyed me, and I never realized how much I wanted to hear her complain about one thing or another. I got through to the voicemail, told her that I loved her and wanted to talk to her for a bit. I made breakthroughs on my novel and wanted to talk about her day. Her clinginess normally got to me, but right now I craved nothing more than to receive messages from her. To hear her voice or her cheesy jokes. Now they were all gone. The feeling of loss took hold of me. Next I tried to get in contact with my parents. Again, straight to voicemail, and I left a message. I told them I wanted to speak to them again. And did my girlfriend contact them? I sent some text messages to my friends. Oddly, all the messages went through and I received nothing in return. I spent the entire day trying to get in touch with someone, anyone. I miss them so much. Why? I don't remember them behaving differently. I held my head in my hands, took a mouthful of whiskey, and wondered whether this was punishment for me being an asshole. I'm the first to admit, I'm not the most patient nor the most considerate person. I saw a shadow in the window. At the time, I thought it could have been because I'd been isolated for so long, and that it was time for me to go home. I needed to be around people again, to see faces of my loved ones, to hear their words. Was this a sign of waning sanity from being away from people for far too long? Perhaps it was the bravado from my drink, or the final piece of repressed anger. I stood up. My chair fell to the floor, and I called into the darkness. "Hey, who are you? Come out." My voice echoed around the otherwise silent building. I don't know what I expected. There was no sound. No birds. No animals calling in the distance. And even the sound of rain came to a halt. The fire submissively burned out in that moment. The only sound I could hear was my heart rate increase. A primal fear of something or someone that human tongues forgot. A long, low growl was the response that sent a shiver down my spine. There was an inhuman energy to it. I've never been one for the outdoors, always preferring civilization to anything wild or dangerous. The figure I saw looked human. How could a human make a sound like that? No human could make a sound like that. My hands trembled. I couldn't stop them, and I rested my hands on my hips to try to slow them down. What was going to happen? My teeth chattered, and I knew I had to find safety somehow. I looked around and found a baseball bat, held it in my hands ready to strike. I felt better the moment I had a weapon in my hands. Not that I had any real experience with defending myself. I could hear the creaking on the porch outside. Whatever I saw was walking along the aged wood and would occasionally peer inside. At least, that's what I thought it was doing at the pauses of the windows. I need a sippy sip. I'm sorry. Just a sec. I couldn't escape the uneasy feeling in my stomach. There was a strange smell in the air. A strange musk with aged and rotting meat. I nearly gagged. It was so vile. I nearly passed out from the smell. I started to hear knocking on the door. At first it was gentle and gradually became louder and more demanding. I held the baseball bat up, ready to strike. Instinctively, I shook my head and kept muttering, No, go away, no, go away, under my breath. It kept going. I don't know what happened. I must have passed out. I woke up on the wooden floor, the baseball bat by my side and with an aching head. The sunlight peered inside the room, and the sound of the forest had returned, and I wanted to leave right away. I gathered up my small bag of items, making sure I brought everything, and opened the door to see there were scratch marks on the door. What? I tried to ignore it and ran to my car. I locked the door and put my things in the back seat. I didn't want to stay here anymore. When I got in the front seat, I could have sworn I heard wicked laughter from the forest. The thickest part with minimal visibility, and that was all I needed to hear. I wanted to drive fast. I drove along the winding dirt road that I enjoyed the slow, casual drive getting to the cabin. But now all I wanted was the speed to get away. I felt a sensation of relief and let out a happy sigh. I smiled, a feeling of victory that filled my heart and soul. Then there was the telltale sound of my phone. I pressed the accept call button, and my best friend's voice came through. Hey, where have you been? I've been trying to get in touch with you for weeks. I didn't think you were going to answer, he demanded. And I nearly effing cried then and there. You will not believe the week I had. I'm looking forward to getting home. I missed you all. There was a pause. Are you about to cry? No? Shut up. So, what happened? I know you're an asshole, but it wasn't like you. Your girl was really worried about you. I need some time to get away from everything and everyone. I need to forget who I was. You know how it is. I think I've been out here too long. I've gotten kind of isolated and weird. Yeah? How so? I don't know. I started to see things and hear things. I just want to get home and relax where I know I'm safe. Order some food, spend some time with my girl, and just be away from nature for a bit. I got some writing done, and I've had my fill of being alone. I really missed all of you. There was a pause. Hey, you there, man? Yeah. Did something happen while you were out there? As I said, I saw something out there. I saw it. Never mind, it's stupid. I just think it's safe for me to get out there. It's dumb, but I just want to get home. I'm driving back now, and I didn't realize how long this road is. How long until you're back home? Probably a couple of hours. I imagine the knocking on the doors was terrifying. His voice said. The voice altered and I paused. The realization that I never mentioned the shadow, nor the insistent knocking on the doors. I froze, unable to speak before it continued. How many times does your kind dare to come inside my forest? Not offer me the proper tribute nor respect. I didn't answer, focusing on the road and the possibility of escape. I sped up and turned down the winding roads. The static got louder, and my friend's contorted voice continued. Why are your kind the way they are? I will take what I need. I have your scent. You will never escape me. No, 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 no! As I sped up, I saw the line where the forest came to an end, praying that I would reach it. Why are you ignoring me? I think you're forgetting a couple of reasons why you escaped your life to come into the forest. Your girl, your friends, your family. Never really know who you are deep inside. A beast, an animal. You're returning to your roots and... I ignore my friends, not my friends' words, now. A large beast stood in front of the winding road on its back legs and roared up at the sky. It was huge. I barely saw it. Sharply, my car turned to the right and crashed into a large tree. The airbags burst and so did my skull. I looked down at the glass that penetrated my sides. Without help, knew I would not make it. You are truly free. Okay, I'm done.
Alrighty, everybody, that was Lady Spookaria. If you enjoyed that narration, make sure that you go to her link that Interscare Wifey has put in chat quite a few times, youtube.com/@LadySpookaria, and give her a subscription. Make sure you go give her a sub and check out her channel. Also, everyone, let me get myself on screen here. If you would like to enter our second giveaway, make sure that you put 2023 in chat within the next couple minutes. We are going to be doing our spin for our second $50 Amazon gift card at 11:55. So make sure that you type in that 2023. And
Best of luck, yeah.
Yes, best of luck to everyone. I'll go ahead and share my... Excuse me. I apologize. Like a weird hiccup.
You disgusting.
It's like a weird hiccup and like a throat burp. I don't understand. It's like from talking so much.
You see, the hiccup was what was gross. The burp was fine.
But yeah. So make sure you type in that 2023. If you don't see your name here on the wheel, we will get you added.
Be pretty nice to enter 2023 $50 richer.
Right, $50 Amazon richer.
Yeah.
Give Bezos that money.
Nice.
All right, I'm trying to get all the names here real quick. Trying to get them all here. Oh, chat keeps going and it keeps...
To the chat, everyone, we have 7 more minutes.
Not yet. I didn't mean to do that.
Nope.
Let's get ready to
rumble. Guess who it landed on?
Oh my gosh. Grim?
Phoenix.
Oh.
What?
Sorry, Phoenix.
There's still people putting them in the chat. You can't go yet.
I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to
Stop
click
it.
underneath of it.
Turn that wheel off.
So let me guess.
Nice.
That's a mistrial, and we're gonna.
And here's the re-roll.
It's messed up.
No. If you're a tech fan, you know what that means. Alright, I am just trying to get all of these names real quick. Alrighty.
1 more minute.
Sunny Acna, thank you so much for being here. We enjoy doing stuff like this and having people on and all of that stuff. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun for me.
Repeat it maybe one more time for anybody that's fallen asleep.
Yes. Yes, for anybody who's just joining us, type in 2023 in chat for your chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. This is our second giveaway for tonight. We are doing the giveaway in 1 minute, so make sure that you get your last minute 2023s typed in chat.
I would like to also thank everyone that donated to our fundraiser this month through YouTube. All profits go through YouTube directly to the organization that we are working with right now. We really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Absolutely. Alrighty,
The Draconian says the stream has made me forget about being sick for a little bit. Thanks again for having the stream. Feeling better already.
Draconian, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it so much. Y'all have no idea how much it means to me. Oh, and Jonna with that last minute 2023. Alrighty, everybody. 3, 2, 1, roll.
Nice.
Spin.
Draconian Universe.
Yay!
All right, Draconian, I already have your email, so you're good to go. I will email you your $50 Amazon gift card code here soon. Thank you so much for being here. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. We are still going to keep going. We are going through to the midnight. We got 4 more minutes, everybody. 4 more minutes till the new year. And I'm going to read one more story to cap out the new year. And you know what? What better category to cap out the new year than the one that made this channel take off with a creepy backwoods story, if I can find one here. What was the emoji
Nice.
for creepy backwoods?
The camping
They look different on my computer.
tent.
Oh, I found it. Okay. What better way to cap out the new year than to read a story from the category that really made this channel take off? Here we go. This happened a few months ago and has been bugging me. I was out hiking and rappelling with a friend in the hills near Tombstone. I want to mention that I've spent quite a bit of time solo hiking and camping. I'm used to hearing noises and brushing it off. Anyways, it's late afternoon, and I'm first one to rappel down. I got to the bottom, and while my partner was getting ready to follow, we heard this noise that I would describe most like a growl/snarl. It sounded like it was coming from the ridge above both of us. If facing the cliff, it sounded like it was coming from the right side. We both looked around but didn't see anything. I encouraged him to come down and even half joked that it was probably just a bear or a mountain lion. At that point, I wasn't even feeling that nervous. I figured that once the two of us were together again, we would be pretty intimidating to an animal. While we rappelled down, I heard a loud crash to what seemed to be parallel to me on my left. By this point, I'm starting to get pretty scared, because it was getting closer, and also had somehow gone from right to left on an exposed cliff face without either of us seeing it. He successfully rappelled down, and we both agreed that we needed to get the F out of there, and we still had a steep downhill climb to the car. We packed up the gear as fast as possible. As we get our packs on our back, we heard what sounded to me like a howler monkey. The noise was close, and we could still not see what was making it. Of course, it was from the direction that we needed to go. We hauled ass down the mountain and got in the car. I know that it can be easy to let the mind play tricks, but we had the exact same account of what happened. Now, this is the part I hesitate to put in writing because I know it sounds even more insane, but we both heard whispering and giggling as if it was right next to us. I keep trying to explain to myself that our minds just played a trick. The first noise I would chalk up to a bear or mountain lion. Animals are stealthy and could run in front of us without us noticing. Something else could have fallen from the right side. What made the monkey noises, though? Why do we both feel like we heard whispering? Anyone else have any creepy experiences in Arizona?
We're less than a minute away.
We are less than a minute away from the new year, guys.
Woohoo!
That will be the last story read on the Inner Scare Sleep channel in the year 2022.
Thank you, everyone who's
Yes.
been with us throughout this stream, and the ones that have stuck with us the entire time, and the ones that have just come in. We are so grateful to have you here.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Y'all are absolutely amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you. And now we're here at the new year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Throw on the New Year's band
Happy
right
New
here.
Year.
Give me a second. I'm going to go kiss the wife.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
I like how we get like 2 celebrations, Grim. Like we've already celebrated and we get another party.
Happy
I
New
get
Year,
3.
everybody, so much. Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you,
that's-
guys.
I'm square now. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy 2023.
My Apple Watch is giving me the fireworks. Guys,
2,
happy New
1.
Year's.
Happy 2023, everyone.
Happy
Hell
2023
yeah.
to everyone. I appreciate y'all so much. Guys, let's kick ass this year.
Let's do it.
So what is everyone's goals for 2023?
Yes, does anyone have any resolutions?
I've just skipped the whole resolution and given up on them already. So,
Be strong.
Okay.
Well, my New Year's resolution is to get up to 100,000 subscribers on this channel. So if y'all haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe. Help me get to that goal.
look, it looks like I'm going to unsubscribe and then resubscribe to try to help you out.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any resolutions? Interscare Wifey, do you have any resolutions?
I've started getting into writing, so I'd really like to improve that. And also becoming more involved in the marketing for the channel as well. Like to expand and get sponsors and things of that nature. So it's exciting.
You can hear the fireworks going off
Yeah.
outside, so
It's amazing.
don't worry. There's no gunshots around here. If you hear it through my microphone, it's all fireworks. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for literally making my dreams come true in 2022. And thank you all for all of your views, all of your likes, all of your subscriptions. And thank you for hanging out with me and bringing in the new year with me. I appreciate you all so much. And that goes to the viewers and to the people who are here with me. Grim, Spookaria, Phoenix, and of course, the love of my life, Interscare Wifey.
Aw.
You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you guys.
Alright, I'm gonna love yous and leave yous. Have a great evening and
Thank
night
you
and
so
whatever.
much.
Have a great evening, Grim.
See you.
Thank you all
Grim.
so
See you,
much.
Grim.
And yeah, so I don't even know what else to say. Just thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you all have an excellent new year. And I'll see you later. New video coming out for members tomorrow, and then Monday publicly. I can't wait to see y'all there. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.